Cue the music.
Hello and welcome to the Pineapple Podcast. I'm Tyler. This is my friend Matt.
Hey guys.
In the back we have Josh and Dave. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
And we have some special guests here today. We've got Mark and Joel from Greenwood Putters. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming
Yeah,
in.
thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
out, guys.
Yeah, it's nice to get to chat with you guys here. I've been seeing all the pictures of all the different kinds of putters you guys have been putting out. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey, eh? Yeah. Well, I've been lucky enough to see the first prototype even.
Actually, yeah, he has. Yeah, pre-COVID.
Feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, yeah, we were always hanging out. We haven't seen too much of each other, not like we used to.
No, not like before in the good old days, you know?
So,
In the
you guys
olden
know
times.
each other?
Oh
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Let me guess, Olive Garden.
No,
No,
not
no,
all
no,
good.
no.
Oh,
Not this time, Matt.
sheesh.
Our wives went to high school together,
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
and they were best friends in high school.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So we've been lucky enough to get a lot of time
So you
together.
were forced to become friends.
Yeah, and then
It wasn't hard.
It wasn't hard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
His wife?
Annie.
Oh, my
Annie.
word.
Yeah.
The heart.
Yeah.
Annie from the heart.
Annie from the heart.
Cool.
Yeah.
Annie from the heart's husband, Tyler.
Yeah. I'm Tyler from the heart.
Tyler from Annie from the heart.
She'll hear this and be like, no, you're not.
Yeah, she'll be like, "No, you are not. You were the janitor
You're
from
Tyler
the
from
heart.
the square.
The janitor from the heart." So for our audience or whoever doesn't know, these guys make a really awesome wooden putter. You don't really see those much anymore
For golf.
for golf. Yeah, you don't know what a putter's for.
How did you guys get started?
Well, it all started actually helping Joel move into his house that he's currently in. And he asked if I could help out, and we were bringing truckloads of stuff in, and there was stuff in the carport. There was a bag of clubs, and we were golfing probably every second or third day, and we're like, oh, what do we have in here? Who knows what might come out of this tickle trunk? And we opened it up, and there was some crappy irons that just were old, and we're like, oh, okay, moving on, digging deeper. And we found this, it was like a gold glittery vinyl head cover on this thing. And we're like, what is this? And so we're trying to open it. The zipper's all rusted up. And we're like, Joel eventually just grabs it from me and just rips it open. And there was a wood-headed putter in there. And neither of us had ever seen one before. And we're like, okay, well, this is kind of cool.
Well, they don't really exist. So even people who say, oh, yeah, that's like when they first were invented, it's actually not. The first putters ever invented were wooden shafts, but they still were a metal blade. And then the woods, so a driver was wooden, and your woods were wooden, and then your irons were metal, and they would have wooden shafts. So it's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So that's when I saw it, I was like, what the? Because I've been involved in the golf scene since I was a little kid, and I've seen tons of old clubs, and I've bought old clubs to like decorate my old office and stuff, and I was like, this is really weird. And I looked at Mark, and he looked at me, and he's like, well, hey, do you mind if I play with this tomorrow? I'm playing in a charity tournament. I'm like, dude, go for it. We're kind of just looking at it, right? And it was so interesting to us. And I think, did we even try to hit it on the front lawn or something, too?
No, I think it was just in the garage. I think we just pulled out a carpet or something, and I just started hitting with it. And I mean, used to be a very terrible putter. And so I said to Joel, I was like, dude, I'm going to play with this thing. Like, it's not going to get worse. So I may as well try it.
Yeah.
And I just showed up at Redwoods. It was and I started putting on the green. I didn't really know anyone at the tournament other than the three guys that I was playing with.
Yeah.
And they weren't there yet, so I was just practicing putting. And I had guys, probably 8 or 9 guys, come up to me while I'm on the green, and they're like, what is that? Is that a wood putter? I was like, yeah. They're like, huh, can I try it? I was like, yeah, sure. And then some guys that I knew from the industry, because it was a flooring charity tournament, some guys that I knew from the industry that had come up to me, "Oh, Mark, do you need us to buy you a putter? We didn't know you guys were so hard up." And I was like, "No, man, like just try it out and see if you like it." I was like, I like it. And then
So he called me when he was on the practice green, and he said, "Man, this thing actually feels incredible." And he's like, people are at... So he says that first, and then the trigger for me, the switch in my head, he was like, 6 guys have come up to me
Yeah.
just in the last 10 minutes to see if they could try it. So in my brain, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Is there something here? So we did our research like that night. The next day, we were like researching wooden putters, and we found out the origin of this putter. And it was from the 70s in Ontario. There was a guy named by the name of Chuck Brown, and he owned a bunch of retail stores. And they had made these for gifts. Like if you're retiring, or if you belong to the Union 723 or whatever it is, Steelworkers Union, you might get a putter and you could hang it up on your wall or maybe play with it in your office. So it's just more of a novelty and not something used for performance.
Yeah.
So the next day, Mark was like, "You got to try this thing out." So we go to Redwoods again and trying it out on the practice green, and I used to be a horrible putter. Like worse than Mark. If I could get my putting in order, I would be shooting
Josh,
consistently.
can you bring those stats up for us, please? On the,
I've got those. Yes, he is definitely
Yeah.
46% worse.
So if I could figure out my putting, I knew I could like be a decent golfer, and I've always struggled with that. So I was like, maybe something is here.
Yeah.
Because the year before, I had spent $550 on a Scotty Cameron putter. Now, if you told me 10 years ago that I'd ever spend $550 on a putter, I would be like, no, that's ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing. You can buy a car for $550. So I actually was like, okay, I'm going to spend the money, buy a putter that's going to help my game, because all the best players play with Scotty Cameron. So I bought it at the Northview Pro Shop, and lo and behold, didn't help my game at all.
Advertising.
I was like, this is ridiculous. It was like I was almost even worse than I was. But so this was like, it was like almost something with this wooden putter that it was like, maybe there's something here for that average golfer that struggles with putting, because there was a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you could connect with the ball differently than it pinging off of a metal surface. So that's when we started doing some research at other companies, and we were like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's start making prototypes and figure out, reverse engineer what this Chuck guy did. So we took apart that putter, and Mark started making prototypes. We're doing all this at the same time, researching, and we're like, oh man, there's this putter company in the US. They're kind of big. They're Bradley Putters. So we're like, need to compete against this guy. And then we're like, wait a minute, we don't need to compete, because he makes these funky like epoxy putters, that you could be, your favorite sports team could be the Vancouver Canucks, and you say to him, I want a Vancouver Canucks putter. And so he'll make it those colors and put a symbol in it, and like you're spending $1,400 for that putter. So Mark and I were like, yeah, like that's not the avenue we want to go down. We think there's a place in the market for a performance wooden putter, and we think, and this is in the very beginning.
yeah.
So we didn't know
This is
anything.
early on.
We were just basing it on our own feelings.
Yeah.
So there would be one week we're working hard, doing our normal day jobs. Mark would call me up, be like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm really doubting what we're doing. Like, are we
This
just
is
biased?
so hard.
Yeah, are we just biased because like we think it's cool, but like other people are going to think it's ridiculous?
Yeah. Placebo effect.
Yeah.
Effect for sure.
Because golf, and I said to Mark, even if we are, who cares? Because golf is placebo. People think like, dude, get that new Sim Max 2 driver. You're going to hit 20 extra yards, blah, blah, blah. You'll hit straighter. It's all BS. Like the whole industry is based around sell whatever's the new thing the next year, even though it's not even necessarily better.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that hasn't really progressed is the putter. Like, yeah, they've made these massive big things and they're supposed to keep you straighter with putting, but it's not helping people.
Mm-hmm.
We know guys that golf that have like $600 spider putters and doesn't make them any better of a putter.
Did that original putter that you found, was it fully wood, or did it have some sort of a like metal where it made contact with the ball? Like, was there metal there? Or was it wood? The whole thing was wood.
Well,
Good question.
That's a really good question. The head was all wood, and then it had like an epoxy face.
Really?
So it was
Yeah.
drilled. It was like it was almost dremeled out where you hit the ball.
Oh, okay.
And it said Gun Alliance in there.
Really?
And then it was covered by epoxy. So you're
So
hitting.
it would have even sounded different when you hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even from that one, that one felt better than a traditional metal putter.
Really?
But then I was like, okay, well, we have to do the epoxy face, I guess. So like when I first started doing these prototypes, I was basically just trying to recreate this one that we found.
Okay, so I'm going to cut you off there. Can you lead us through when you say you're creating these prototypes? Is this something that you've done in the past?
Never.
No.
So how did you?
dude.
So where did you even start?
This is ridiculous. So he,
I don't even know where I'd start to do that.
Okay, so my I was pushing Mark in the beginning because my background, I was in the skate and snowboard industry, and we would create new things and let's develop a new skateboard truck, and we would develop these things and make prototypes. So that I was familiar with that language and that, like, let's do this, and send this drawing to China. They would develop this new truck, send it back. So I said to Mark, okay, you're the woodworker. You work with hardwood floors, so you need to figure out how.
A floor is basically a putter for your feet.
Exactly.
In your house.
Yeah. It's
He
Real
works-
similar.
You work with wood.
You can do this, bud.
So-
You know wood.
So he I remember I was in Calgary for work. He calls me up, or he sends me a picture or something, or no, it was a phone call. You said, yeah, I'm just here on the job site. So he's working at a job, and he's like, and I'm bending this wood in my truck right now, and I've got this, like, I'm bending the wood, and I'm just envisioning in my brain, and I'm like, why is he bending the wood? And so he glued, because that original putter, it looked like all kinds of layers of different wood,
Like a skateboard?
It almost looked like a sheet of plywood.
like a skateboard.
Yeah, skateboard would be a better analogy.
7
and so
pieces,
I
yeah.
was trying
plies,
to,
yeah.
what I did was I basically took a piece of wood and then I ripped all this hardwood down, walnut actually, and it was super thin, and I was like, I know I can just laminate it together and bend it. So I'm on my job site bending this, like, putter that just looks like a really ugly hockey stick right now. And then I finally get it bent and it's in place, and then I let it set, and then I don't know if I didn't put enough glue or didn't clamp it together enough, and I just take it apart and it just looked like poo, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is so deflating, waiting the 12 hours for all of that.
So it was so crazy to watch him and to listen to and talk to him, and I wasn't always around because I was away for business, but he literally learned from the ground up. Like, it wasn't like he cheated and went online and like, how should I do this? There's a YouTube video on how to do this. Dude is like figuring it out from scratch.
That's awesome.
And then so we're working, he's like, okay, now I got to put weight in this thing. So he goes to the metal store and buys a hunk of brass, and he's telling me, oh yeah, brass is a little bit expensive. He paid like 20-something bucks or whatever for this chunk of brass. He puts this massive, like almost inch thick chunk of brass on the bottom, and he drills it into the wood, and he's like, okay, that feels good. And he cuts out an iron shaft from an iron, right?
I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it was,
from.
because it was
just
a round
It was
golf pride grip.
yeah.
And he somehow gets that in there, and that was our first prototype, and it was the most hideous. He was proud of it.
Getting a real Frankenstein vibe from this
But
whole
it was-
thing.
it
The
was
lightning
super
strikes
Frankenstein.
it.
He was proud of it because he created something
it's
out
pretty
of
awesome.
nothing, right?
We're ready for redwoods.
Yeah.
It's alive! It's alive!
I literally looked at it. I didn't want to tell him, dude, that looks like absolute dog shit.
Your child is an
But
ugly baby.
what I said to him was, dude, you can't show that to anybody. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, dude, you can't show it to anybody because you don't want somebody to know what we're doing. But meanwhile, I'm thinking that and the thing, I wouldn't want anybody thinking like, oh yeah,
This is what you're making.
these guys, yeah.
World debut.
This whole
Look
I
at
remember
this.
this whole business is built on a lie.
So is brass the weight of choice?
No,
No,
it has
not at
nothing
all.
to do with the
'Cause
weight
what
anymore.
made you choose brass?
Really?
We had no idea. That's what was
Yeah.
on the bottom of the Chuck Brown.
Oh, okay.
So we were thinking like, oh, because we hadn't cut the Chuck Brown in half because we were too
Oh.
worried.
We're like, this is the
this
only
was like
one
the
we
holy
have.
grail, that Chuck Brown putter. We didn't want to damage it. We're trying to figure out how did he do this? How did he make this thing? And if you remember the old woods, they had like this thread that would go from the wood to the
Yes.
shaft, so it looked
Yeah.
kind of like it fit together.
yeah.
Like tapered up.
Yeah, and the Chuck Brown had that. And we're like, oh, interesting. So we had to like he tried to replicate that. So instead of using the tape, instead of using that thread, he created the putter to go up. So it was like a one piece.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I said to him, oh, Mark, that's genius. We need to keep that because when I was in high school, I remember all the kids that you were really good at badminton used to have one-piece rackets or a two-piece racket. And they would talk about how that helped with feel and it helped with control and like power and whatever. And I was like, so what you're doing is you're creating that head to be more a part of the shaft.
Yeah.
So now we've kept that design, and it actually, I think that is our secret.
And
So-
we
and that's
and
what
it-
we're patenting
yeah.
is that it's called
That's
the
very
hosel. So we're patenting that because we can't patent wood.
Yeah.
We could patent our design, but anybody could rip that off with a little tweak. But we can patent the wood hosel because nobody does that.
Because there's nobody in the industry that's ever
That's very
had
cool.
a
Normally they
one-piece head
create-
that goes into the hosel.
Yeah, normally like if my phone was a piece of wood, they'll create a cool looking piece of wood and they'll drill a hole in it like this and stick the shaft in the hole and glue it. And that's the putter or the club or
Wow.
whatever. So with us, it comes up, way up here, and then the shaft goes all the way to the bottom of the club.
That's very cool. So how many from the moment that you did that first hilarious one, how many have you done since then?
Like how many prototypes
yeah,
did it take?
different prototypes you're working through.
I would say there was probably 30 to 35.
Wow.
Snap.
I want to say.
And we still
Um,
have probably 20.
Yeah,
At
and
the
it
office.
was and I think the hardest part. I mean, you asked why brass? Why did I stick this big chunk? The first thing I wanted to do was create function. Let's make some. Can I
Yeah, we
make?
didn't
Can
wanna-
I get this to work?
Yeah, we wanted to
Like-
create. We knew the Chuck Brown felt good, so we were like, how can we make it better, and how can we make it real and to help people's golf game. So that was the big thing, and then we didn't figure out the weight.
I was just gonna ask, how did you weigh the Chuck Brown like comparatively to the?
Yeah, the Chuck Brown's super light.
It is.
It's like super light, and we didn't know that. Then we were like, oh yeah, it feels kind of light, but we didn't know how drastically light it was. Then, did you go to the guy on 264th?
I did. Yeah,
You did first,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And you told me that you saw. Okay,
yeah.
this
So
is
that
crazy.
was the craziest
Is that by
story.
the zoo?
So yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like,
But on the south side of the highway.
yeah.
so we're like in the midst of making this and like figuring it out still, like every day talking about it. There's no business, there's no company, right? We're in this like, okay, whatever happens, we're 50-50 done. So we're doing this, and he goes to the guy in 264.
No, we were gonna send the Chuck Brown in to the USGA.
Oh yes.
We were like, we gotta send this club in and find out if it's legal. Like, what if we're
Who's
spending
the USGA?
Oh,
sorry?
they're the
United
governing authority.
they
For the
they
golf
create the like the
association. Oh.
parameters for the equipment.
Oh, so you might not even be able to use the.
Correct.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah,
So,
so we're
we
like-
so we wanted to know that right out of the gates
Yeah.
because
Yo,
we're
man,
like,
But
I
I've
got
spent
these
so much on
putters.
brass.
Yeah,
exactly. We're like, who cares? We were like, okay, that's cool if we made another one, but if you can't use it,
Yeah.
if people are just going to be like, cool putter, you can't even use it in a tournament, that's kind of, we don't
Lame.
want to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what we were trying to do.
But mini golf game would be off the charts.
That's right.
yeah.
You
That's
just slay
that's,
it.
Yeah, that's the next market.
Yeah.
So,
then-
yeah, now
so-
I remember. You
'cause-
went there for a grip.
Yes, because you're like, we have to send this thing in with a new grip.
Dude, I
like it
forgot
had the
about
original grip on it. I don't remember what it looked like.
It's just
But he's like, we got to make sure that there's a
tattered,
good
shitty grip.
What if we send it to them and he's like, oh, the club passed, but the grip failed? So we're gonna deem this as a failure.
So who chooses that? That like
So there's where is the
Tiger Woods.
Carter Rich is the head guy's name. Jeff Banchansky. So I know these people now because it's been so many talking on the phone and emails over the last year. But
where are they?
They're in
Golfland.
no, Connecticut, somewhere over there, like eastern USA, like Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island, somewhere over there. Anyway, you could just Google it. Google the USGA
Josh, can you bring that up
headquarters.
for us,
Josh, where you at?
Give me 1
Should have
second.
been on that.
I was lost in the
Come on.
magic of the story. I was imagining myself.
So USGA headquarters. So first we're looking up online the rules.
They're in New Jersey.
New Jersey. So we're
Thank you, Josh.
looking online for the rules, and we see that we're looking for putter rules. And one of the rules was the face of the putter, which is the part you hit. It can't be soft enough to leave a fingernail imprint.
some genius thought that rule up.
Yep. So we were like, shit. We can't be using like a super soft wood, like a cedar. Look, you could just leave your freaking thumbnail print in there.
Yeah.
Well, and the one that
Can't
you
use
guys
it.
found, what was that?
The
made
fun
of?
we had, the one we found was that epoxy face.
So
you-
super hard.
so
It was hard. So you can't even leave your thumbprint. But we were like, we don't want to use epoxy. We want to make a solid wood putter. We don't want gimmicky. We don't want to put Gun Alliance or blah, blah, blah. We want to make a solid wood putter. So then I'm like, okay, Mark, like, pick some woods. You're the wood dude. Pick some hardwoods that aren't too hard. Like that still would. So he was trying out like Eastern maple, oak,
Red oak.
Purple Heart.
Yeah,
Didn't do Purple Heart. Could do
black
some Purple
walnut.
I
Heart.
just remember that from high school.
Black walnut, sapilli. We never tried ironwood.
No, that would be.
What is that called? Ironwood is.
Um,
I forget what it is. Josh, what's
Bring it up.
ironwood? It's some kind of MP or not?
Ipe.
Ipe. Anyways,
So you'd have to go through all that work of creating another one to try it and be like, oh shit.
no. So go rewind.
Oh, sorry.
so I show up at this place to get the Chuck Brown, the first one.
The grip.
a grip to
A new
send it to
grip.
the USGA. This is our thought process. We'll send it to the USGA
The
first.
only one you're sending away.
Yeah. And
Well,
I
we didn't do it, but
and I walk in, and first of all, this place is like it's just
Dude,
there's
don't-
clubs everywhere.
don't say anything negative.
I wasn't gonna say anything negative.
Just check it.
It's not.
If everybody could close their eyes, he's going to
Yeah.
paint a picture of this
Yeah.
place for us now.
It's not.
It's
It's not
dark.
the golf town experience.
I imagine
it's-
like nightclubs, so you're
It
you're
is like
totally
a
fresh.
nightclub.
Yeah.
It's pretty
There's
dark
clubs
in there.
everywhere,
There's-
and I
yeah.
was like, oh
No,
yeah,
it's
golf.
definitely
We'll just beep out anything that's not appropriate.
And no, nothing inappropriate. But I walk in, and there are 3 wood putter heads sitting on the counter that look identical,
I was devastated.
identical to ours.
I was devastated.
I didn't say
Do you
called
take
me.
pictures right away?
Well, no.
I
he called.
don't
You
remember.
didn't take a photo. You
No,
called me as soon
because
as you left.
I didn't want him to know that
That's
we
right.
were starting a business. I'm like, this guy's got I was like, do you have any more of these? He's like, oh yeah, I might be able to dig some out of the back. And I was like,
Oh my goodness, he has a back?
I was like,
Yeah.
"Did our-"
Well, he's got sheds full of crap, which I know now because I did. Anyways, go back.
And they're identical to
Yeah,
yours.
so
all of them
to the
were
Chuck Brown, like the
exact
same look.
design.
So he calls me and in the parking lot, hey man, and he tells me, and I'm like, we're done. Like somebody already thought of this. Like somebody's already doing this. This isn't like we didn't figure something out. We're done. And Mark's like, no. Like it's okay. Blah blah blah. And then so he reversed my thinking, and then I'm thinking strategically, dude, we should buy one of those clubs from him, and then we can
Oh, there we go.
cut it in half.
Yeah.
Then we can figure out how this freaking thing is
We will
actually
assimilate
made.
it.
yeah.
It will be
So-
assimilated.
So I go in there like the next day, and I'm like pretending to shop, right?
Oh,
And he
look
doesn't
over
know
here.
that
Did you use
Mark
a real
and
name?
he doesn't know that Mark and I know each other.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking around like, oh,
hey.
The perfect
this-
crime.
this wooden thing here. This is interesting.
I ran out of gas.
I literally was like, where's this from? And he goes, oh, the old guy that used to own this place. So this is crazy. The guy that he bought the golf store off of on 264th. I don't know if he moved the guy's location there, but the guy died. He bought the business. and it came with those wooden heads. And he said the guy made those wooden heads, and he was making wooden head putters, and locally people were buying them. And I was like, oh, cool. And I'm just like playing dumb, right? I'm like, oh, do they feel good? He's like, yeah. Some people swear by them. That's what he said.
Do you think it'd be a great idea for a small business?
Yeah, he goes, whoa, you interested in one? I'd sell you one for $200. And I'm like, oh, $200. I'm like, would you trade for a couple clubs? And he goes, well, what do you got? So I like have my golf clubs in, and there's a couple clubs in my bag that I can't hit. I was like, I don't need them, and I don't want to spend. In the beginning, it was all our money 50-50, right? So I was like we were trying to do everything cheap. So I ended up trading him 2 of my clubs, and I think I gave him $50, and he gave me the wood head and everything that came with the wooden head. And there was like brass, and there was lead. Anyways, so getting to the lead. So I get it.
Sorry, did you say there was brass?
Yeah. So I get it.
Well done.
And I call Mark immediately in the parking lot. I'm like, dude, I got it. And he's like, what? How did you do it? And I like tell him the story, and I'm like, holy crap, dude. Okay. And I sent him photos, and I'm like, look, man, like there's hollowed out holes in the bottom of this club, and they put lead weights inside. That's how they're getting the weight. And we're like, boom. Like Mark's like, oh yeah, genius. Like, of course, we can just hollow it out and put lead weight in the bottom. And so we're like, where are we going to get lead? And I'm like, I don't know, like fishing lead, like Cabela's or like Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
So we started going to Cabela's in Abbotsford, and we would buy fishing lead weights, like chunks you can buy.
Coils.
In the coils.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark would melt them down in his garage.
Well, that must be healthy.
Yeah, super healthy.
Yeah.
He would melt them down, and I was like, dude, I got to find a cast iron pan for you, and you can melt these down. Like, we're just
Oh, my
like,
God. This is the Breaking Bad of like golf stories.
yeah.
Pretty well, yeah.
so like, but it made sense to us. So then Mark started building the heads. He would hollow the heads. So he went from bending the wood to getting a chunk of wood, a solid chunk of wood, and he would cut it down, right?
Dude, this is the crazy part.
Yeah.
So I would buy, I forget what they were. I think they're like an actual 2x4 of solid maple. And I would cut the blocks. I would make jigs to cut the blocks all the same size. So every single one's the same size. Then I made a jig so that that block would sit at the proper angle so that I could, and locked in place. And I would take my drill press with one of those like hole hogs or
I
whatever
remember
it is,
that.
and I would drill down, and that's how I would get the hosel.
Dude, I have photos of
How
that.
did you know how far to drill down?
I put tape, so I had a stopper, or I did a.
So was it like, okay, this one I'm going to go down 1/8 of an inch, this one I'm going to go down?
I would, I don't remember
7
exactly
thousandths of an inch?
how far I would actually go, but then
Dude, I have a photo of the exact thing he's talking about.
Also, too,
So-
jig is an awesome sounding name for something. I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming it's sort of a way
so
that
a
holds
jig
the...
a jig would be something that you build so that you can repeat a cut
okay.
over and over and over again.
That's cool. Because
So
I was wondering
this-
about weight, how you
That's
figure
it
out...
right there. He's drilling down into the...
I remember you doing that.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
So weight, how we'd figure out the weight
I like
is
your plaid shirt.
we weighed other putters, right?
Oh,
So we would weigh,
okay.
we'd be like, okay, what's industry standard? And we would just go to Value Village and buy. I remember we had like 40 or 50 crappy putters,
Yeah.
and we would like cut them off the shafts, and we would use the shaft. Oh,
We would
dude, I haven't
just cut it.
remembered
We
this.
would just buy, because clubs were only $2 at Value Village, so we would go. It was cheaper than buying shafts and
Yeah,
grips.
that's right.
Because grips are $15, shafts are $10. So we would go to Value Village and buy all the clubs that they had, and then just hack the heads off.
That's
So how did you come
hilarious.
up with the right... obviously, I'm assuming... I haven't played golf in forever, but I'm assuming everybody has a vibe and a feel that they want with their putter to be a certain weight. So how did you
Correct.
guys figure out this is the one? Because like you were saying, that first wooden one that you found was like, this feels great.
That's right.
Did you try to match that weight?
Well, first, the biggest challenge was getting it even up to the weight of that first one that we found.
That's
Yeah,
how heavy it was?
It's difficult.
No,
dude.
because like a chunk of
a
wood,
chunk of wood weighs nothing.
is
It's like
40 grams, if that.
I never thought of that.
when you're talking about a chunk of wood that small, like 2x4 little piece of wood.
I never
Yeah.
actually thought about that.
Yeah. And so then again, that's why we had the brass on there. But yeah, the hardest part that we figured out was the lead. And so, I mean, I would cut that. Then like Joel said, I'd have a bandsaw and I'd rough cut the shape. I'd have another sander and I'd be sanding it, like sculpting these things.
So
making a complete mess of the garage.
So while he's doing this, I would come home from business trips and I'd come to his garage and see what progress he's made. But I was his partner and his friend, so I was like, oh yeah, that's good. That's you're almost there. Because I could tell, like, that's not something you want to take to market. No one's going to play with that. It looks like poo. But you say that in a nice way, and it just encourage him to go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one.
For the record, I knew it wasn't great yet.
Yeah, but for the record, you also thought the one that is the best one now was a piece of poo.
You guys will both get a record by the end of this.
Oh.
Yeah.
The record will be in place.
So we... sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
So then after I shaped these heads, I would take a vise and then I was routering out the bottom.
Yeah.
So what kept happening though was I'd be routering it and then something would catch, boom, there goes 3 hours worth of work. And I'm like,
dude, I remember you
and
called me
I just like,
so frustrated.
Okay, I'm done. This is like 4 hours on a Saturday.
Just
I'm like,
really,
I just
nav.
Yeah. And then, and also kind of dangerous too. And I remember that I was...
Oh, you got... And your wife. Love your wife.
Yeah.
She wasn't too happy when he would be in the garage every
just
night.
Mess
making these
everywhere. 'Cause
I'm
kids
sure.
were young. Strollers are in there. Oh, not in the stroller again.
Wood chips everywhere.
Love you, mama.
So then... Oh, that's so funny that we remembered the guy on 264th because he actually plays a part in this. His name's Ed, and the company he owns is called Golf Tech. I think he's known as the Golf Tech, and people go there and you can get lessons from him, and he can help you out and whatever. But shout out to Ed because that's a pivotal part to our story.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed was actually one of the first people that we actually showed our finished product to. So we actually said, hey, man, we've developed. I went in there. We developed a wood putter. Yeah, I went back to him and showed him, and he tried it out in his place, and he said it was too light. So it's funny. But then, I didn't even remember that. So
of the 35, sorry to cut you off, but of the 35 you've done, which number did you show him at that?
That would have been
35,
like
34
or 35.
Yeah, 34 or 35. So 35 or 34. When he had 34, I knew we
33 was good. Remember?
Okay.
33 was really... I made this beautiful one, and
Patrick Waugh, baby.
Yeah. And I sent it off to a guy in California that we knew, and he was just like, dude, this is so beautiful. But he's like, I don't think it makes for a good performing putter.
Oh, no.
What did he say why?
A big part of the reason why we have the design that we do is that he strongly suggested having two parallel edges.
Dude, you fast forwarded hard there. People don't even know who.
True.
You got to rewind.
It doesn't even
Yeah.
matter.
So far,
No,
we
it
think
might-
Patrick was your best friend.
Yeah,
and-
no. So so once we had a decent looking putter and it felt good, and there was no like epoxy face, and we had the weight, and everything was legit, and we knew from reading about the USGA rules that we had something that was complying. We didn't know if it would pass, but we knew it was close. So I said to my buddy Eric, so my buddy Eric owns Vito Marketing in Vancouver, and Eric had worked in the golf industry in marketing. So he had been with some pretty like well-known golfers and selling golf products over the years. So I had told Eric, I said, hey man, we're on to something. And it was so funny back then to think about the way we talked to people. It was so secretive. We did not want to tell anybody what we were doing. Like we literally wanted people to sign an NDA if we were like sharing what we had, because we thought it was like gold.
Yeah.
So we said, Eric, I want to share something with you that will revolutionize the world of golf. I think we're on to something. And he's like, okay, tell me more. And I'm like, I can't, man. You need to meet with me. So he came to my house one night, and Mark was there, and we had the putter. And we showed him, And Eric is a very hard human being to read if you don't know him. Well, even if you do know him. He's not quick to talk. He's not quick to react.
Sometimes he doesn't react at all.
Yeah, he's straight.
So you never play cards like against that guy?
Well, he's actually not that good at cards. He's too much of a risk taker. Anyway. The reason the band The Left is called The Left is because of the card game euchre.
Oh, yes.
So in euchre, there's a right and a left, and
Yep.
they named their band The Left. We always played euchre, me and those guys, and Eric would always go alone, even if he had the worst hand in the world, and he would get euchred on an alone hand, which is like the worst possible thing. Like, you don't know how to play if you're getting euchred on an alone hand. So anyways, Eric, we showed him the putter. He's like, okay, all right, well, and we said, can you help us? And he said, I will help you guys if someone I know in California, his name's Sam Goulden, he's a PGA instructor, and he owns a golf company called Minimal Golf. So he's in the industry. He knows the industry. If Sam thinks this is a good idea, I will fully back this and help you guys bring it to market. And we're like, awesome. We just got to pitch this thing to this Sam guy. This shouldn't be hard. So Eric connects us with Sam.
Do you remember you got his phone number that day, and he happened to be in Blaine, Washington?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was at a wedding or something, right?
Yeah,
we
he'd
were
flown out to a
we
wedding,
should go there.
and you're like, I'm gonna drive there right now.
Yeah, I'm very turbo. I don't have patience. It's not helpful in a marriage. I just want things to get done now. And I have 7 children, so it makes it tough. So I struggle with patience because it's do it now, now. Let's go. So with the putter stuff, it's always let's go. So book this meeting with Sam, conference call, or just a Zoom call, actually, with me, Mark, and Sam. We're in my car, and we were so excited, and we had the putter with us to show him on the Zoom call.
In Joel's Mini.
Yeah?
You're just cramped in your Mini.
And we get him on the phone, and I pitch him the elevator pitch about the putter right away. I said, we've created something that we believe takes the tool out of your hand when you're putting, and it feels incredible. And your missed putts are closer, and it works. It's not gimmicky. And he's like, wow. If what you just said is true, he's like, I'm sold. And he said, and I'm not easily sold. He said, every year for the past 15 years, a golf company has tried to get me to use their putters. And I've always said no. But from what you just told me,
Oh, wow.
I want to try your putter. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
cool. So we are on to something that's different, right? So he goes, yeah, why don't you guys... And so we had a longer talk, right? And then he said, oh, why don't you guys ship it out? So this is this is not the Chuck Brown anymore, but this is our holy grail. So he's like, why don't you guys ship it out? And we're like, what if we came down there and gave it to you? And he's like, no, you guys don't need to do that. That would cost a lot of money. But we're thinking, no.
What if I can't make another one?
Yeah, exactly. We're like, no, it's cool. Mark's got points, I got points. We'll come down there, and then it's also we get to go to California, and we'll show him the putter. And he goes, oh, well, if you guys want to do that, I guess that's fine. And why don't you bring your clubs and we'll go golfing too, and then I can try it out. We're like, awesome. So go ahead, Mark.
So it's ungodly hour, 4:30 in the morning. Joel picks me up, and I'm kind of like, oh man, this is either going to be the greatest day of my life or the worst day, or maybe somewhere in between. I kind of think somewhere along the line we're going to get catfish. This is awkward. We're flying however many thousand miles to California to meet somebody that we had one Zoom call with, and we're putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was thinking that.
So we,
I was pumped. This is what I did for a living. I would present, I was a business development manager and I did sales. So I would fly all the time. Atlanta, Vegas, Toronto, Saskatchewan, wherever, and meet with people and pitch things. And so I was just jacked.
Did he? So before you keep going, did he say? That's interesting that he had said that he's been pitched it many times, but yours. Did you feel like you did anything different comparatively to anything else you'd done in your business career with that pitch?
I just told him the story. So the way I always sell things is, if I believe in it and it's real, then people will buy
Awesome.
it and they want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to sell something that is obviously shit and you don't believe in it,
Yeah.
people aren't going to want to buy it. So
Awesome.
the reason he did was our story, because we told him how we found it and like the development of it. And so it wasn't just the quick elevator. It was a little more than that.
Good for you.
And that's what I've done my whole life since I was a kid. Like even when I was 7 years old, no, not 7, so 10, because my parents were divorced. My mom lived in a fourplex in this shady part of town and she didn't have any money. My dad was like Dutch and like super cheap. So he didn't give out money. We had to like earn money. So I bought day-old donuts for 10 cents or 20 cents at the time at Donut Delight, it was called, in Ontario, where we lived in a small town. Shout out Chatham,
Double
Ontario.
D.
And I would buy these day-old donuts, and I would set up a stand by my mom's fourplex and sell the donuts for 50 cents. So I was making 4 times, like, it's good, 10 cents, 50 cents. And so I would buy a dozen, and then I would sell them. And I wouldn't sell them as like, here, I would sell them, be like, hey man, you're supporting me and I want to buy a new bike. And like, so I would give people a story. So I learned at a young age that people want to buy into something, right? They don't just want to buy something for the sake of buying something unless they want it because somebody else has it. Right?
Good point.
So anyways.
How old are you talking here?
You said he was 7 or 8, right?
No, I was 10 because
10?
I didn't, yeah, my parents were, I thought I was younger, but 10. That is when
He was
the
3
donuts-
when he started having. He's a genius. So you're go the 4:30 a.m. flight.
So then we get in. Nothing really happened while we were at the airport. It was just pretty standard. Hopped on the plane.
Did you carry it onto the plane with you?
Joel thinks that we did, but we didn't. We had it in like golf carry bags. But I remember
Wow.
we were nervous
Oh yeah, that's right.
that we might lose our clubs. We're like, what are the chances that one of us loses our clubs?
Did you have a plan B?
We did not have a
We
plan
didn't have
B,
a plan B.
But
If we
would've-
lost that thing, we were screwed.
we still would have sold
We just
it.
show
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah, with our sparkling personalities.
I wanted to bring it on the plane as a carry
Yeah.
on, but I
And
didn't
the
want to
theme
risk.
song you'd created is hooky. Whatever. Caught him with the theme song.
Yeah.
And then we landed. I was pretty nervous again. Just what are we like? Kind of more of a what are we doing?
Yeah, we
like,
didn't
it was
know
a
what to
It
expect.
was like a Wednesday, a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So like, I'm used to, unlike Joel, I'm used to being in Langley, Aldergrove, South Surrey. I'm not used to traveling the world selling things, and so. Then I remember I remember you had some big pitch you had to do to somebody, and we were stuck on the tarmac for an hour.
Who was that?
I don't remember, but we landed, and then somehow both of our phones were dead, and we're like just trying to get off the tarmac, trying to get to our hotel so that Joel could do this other business pitch.
I know who it was. It was a big Carter Ford
Right.
in Calgary or something. They own like 8 dealerships, and I was pitching the head owner at the time on a Zoom call, and I had to get quickly to my hotel because in
That's
my
right.
line of work.
Hang on a sec. We got to pause for a second.
Yeah.
What's the flashing?
It's this light up here. It's Josh.
Oh my goodness.
It's the
it's
main
driving me
lights of the
insane.
house. So raise them, put them all
Sorry,
the way down.
distract me from the amazing story. By
All
the way,
the way-
the story's
both of 'em.
fucking phenomenal, man. I'm loving it.
Oh, good.
Okay,
you.
put them up just a little bit.
I would have been terrified
Yeah.
to part with it on the plane.
Yeah, just leave them off.
See, and
Thank
that's where I didn't
Does the camera still look okay? Sorry.
find it terrifying.
Well, I
Awesome.
remember I was terrified because
Yeah.
I told Mark that I had worked with an inventor in the past, this crazy dude from Chilliwack, and he had made all these crazy inventions, and there was an ad in the paper. This is in 2004. There was an ad in the Abbotsford Times that said, "Need someone to sell inventions to big box stores. Will pay blah, blah, blah salary." And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, I can sell stuff. So I drive out to Chilliwack, and it was called Inline Nurseries. And I roll up, and I'm like, this job is for me. I know it is. And I don't even know what this guy invented, but I'm going to sell it. And I get there, and I meet it wasn't the head guy, but it was another guy, his cousin. And he's at the front reception area. And he goes, I can't believe I'm sidetracking here on this, but he says, "Oh, hey, sorry, man. We actually," because I had my resume. "Oh, sorry, man. We actually just hired somebody for the position." And I could have turned around and just walked away, but I said, "Oh, that sucks. You hired the wrong guy." And he said, and I'm 25 or 24 at the time, and he says, "Pardon?" And this is like Dutch.
And he says,
Like-
pardon?
Christian Reformed Dutch dudes from Chilliwack, like very like everything is in order. Like we milk cows, we own nurseries, like everything is this black and white, right? There's nobody kind of like throwing out fireworks and being cocky. I said, "You hired the wrong guy." He's, "Pardon?" Like, "Yeah, no, this job is for me." He goes, "Why do you say that?" And I say, "Because I can sell anything." And he said, "Really?" And he like looked at me and he goes, "You know what? Why don't we give you an interview?" And I'm like, "Sure." But he's like, "But I already hired somebody, but I'll give you an interview anyway." So I'm like, "Sure." So he gives me an interview. Boom, lights out. I'm pumped about it. I leave, but I know he hired somebody anyways. I get a call a week later or 2 weeks later out of nowhere, and I was still looking for a job. And he said, "Hey, Joel, we want to hire you for that position." And I'm like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, it didn't work out with the other guy." And I'm like, "Awesome." And this is like, I'm 24 years old, $60,000 salary. You get a Toyota Tacoma truck as your like work truck, which is like insane at 24 years old. I didn't really have any work history besides me making my own weird businesses and things that just didn't work out because I was in school full time. And well, the guy's name was Gord. Just came to me. Anyways, so they gave me a shot, and then I got to meet the inventor guy. His name's Bob Maljars. Bob Maljars invented a wheelbarrow. Dude, you should be looking this up, Josh.
Josh, get ready.
This wheelbarrow
Praise
was
the
called
Lord.
the Jettison. I don't even know if it'll exist online. It was called the Jettison, and what he invented was a wheelbarrow that had triggers on the handles, so that instead of you going, he called it an ergonomic wheelbarrow, because instead of you lifting a wheelbarrow and lifting it over your head, if you have like rocks in it or dirt, you could walk up, pull the triggers, and it dumped itself. So it's like genius. And
That's
it had
smart.
2 wheels.
What was his last name?
Bob Maljars. Maljaars.
I was not spelling his last name correctly.
Inline Nurseries. He doesn't own it anymore. That's another big, like, Africa gems and rubies weird story. Went bankrupt. Anyway, it's nuts. Like, so anyways, he invented this wheelbarrow called the Jettison, and it had 2 wheels. Because you got to think, if you're dumping something with weight, it's going to, tip, right? So he had 2 wheels. And I'm like, this is smart, man. I can buy that. I can sell this all day long. And he also invented a thing of wood shims for guys in construction. You need shims when you're like doing doors and you're lining stuff up. So he had this pack of wood shims called Easy Shims. I was like, easy. Tons of markup. It's ordered. They buy it all in China. So he's like, "Okay, Joel, I need you to develop a website. I need you to develop the pricing for the product. I need you to pitch this to all the big box stores around North America." I'm 24 years old. This is my big break. Because any sales I did was just little stuff. So I'm like, it's go time. So I call this website guy that I knew from working with at summer camp, and I'm like, "Dude, you got to help me." So he starts developing a website. I start calling up like Home Depot USA headquarters. Hey, this is Joel Lute from Vancouver, Canada, because you don't want to say Chilliwack, right? Nobody knows
Yeah.
Chilliwack.
Roundup.
Hey, yeah, I need to get a hold of your head purchaser. They'd be like, for what? And now I know these people are like gatekeepers, right? They're not letting you talk to so-and-so unless you know somebody. So I had to get strategic on the phone, where I would call in a different day, and I'd say, who's your purchaser for garden goods? I forget his name. They'd be like, oh, that's Joe Stiles. Oh, yeah, Joe Stiles. Yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks. I just forgot. I'll give him a shout. I hang up. A couple days later, hey, can I get a hold of Joe? Can I speak with Joe Stiles, please? It's Joel. And they'd be like, okay. And then they put me through to Joe Stiles. So now I have 10 seconds of undivided attention from Joe Stiles, as long as he didn't have a secretary to answer his phone, right?
Yeah. Smart.
So I'd get a hold of Joe Stiles, and I'd be like, Joe, I have this wheelbarrow that you need. It's just crazy, right? And he'd be like, do you have any sales? Like Dragon's Den or Shark's Tank. This is like pre all that. I'd be like, no, we have no sales yet. He's like, okay, well, contact me once you have it in a store first. And I'd be like, oh, Joe, come on, man. So then I kept pressing. And then finally, I started booking. I learned how to book appointments. So I was flying to Atlanta, North Carolina. I was meeting with the head purchasers of Lowe's, Ace Hardware, Home Depot, Home Hardware Canada, flying to St. Jacobs. So the reason I'm telling this story, I flew from Abbotsford Airport to Toronto with a wheelbarrow as my carry-on. And the reason I did it...
How did you do that?
So,
Aren't they huge?
No, so when it's dismantled, it's just the bucket.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Sheesh.
When it's just the bucket, and I could fit everything inside the bucket to build it. So I'm like, I don't want this thing out of my sight. It was like that kind of moment, right? Like Bob had this invention, this is it. So it fit in the overhead compartment.
Oh, my goodness.
And the people in the airport saw me with this wheelbarrow, and I still know people that worked at WestJet, and they're like, you're the dude that brought the wheelbarrow on the plane. I'm like, yeah, of course.
That's amazing.
So I actually invented the Jettison 2. It doesn't exist anymore, but RIP. The Jettison 2 was a smaller version of the Jettison. It was just more compact and ergonomic. Like it was like
For travel?
For farmers who travel by air.
no, it's just lighter weight, and it
For
was
farmers who travel.
that's not even where I was going.
Do you need to bring your crops across the states?
No, it was for
Now.
like the price point of the first one was too high. So I just wanted something that was more aggressive, so I could go to guys and say, look, you pay the $70 for this, and we'll sell it for $149 to retail. And then that was like the hot price point. Anyways, so I ended up, Inline was great. That's why I told that story. But it goes on to, I got the wheelbarrows in Home Depot, Canada, or Home Hardware Canada, which was incredible. Like 5,000, like ordered a lot, dude. Like it was no joke. And I made some good contacts there that I actually used later in life and stuff. But Bob went nuts, and he made too much money, and he started doing. I shouldn't say that. Like, sorry, I'll reverse that. I shouldn't say he went nuts. He just got a little greedy, and started going on treasure hunts in Africa for rubies and emeralds and gems.
No.
And
Yes.
he would get people to invest, dude, in these emerald hunts. So like people who knew him, everybody thought he was super successful, right? Everything he did was turning to gold. The nursery business was huge. Everything was exploding. So everybody's like, oh yeah, Bob, like let's give Bob money. So people are like investing with Bob. Turns out everything went south.
Oh, man.
Bob, I think, to this day still owes millions and millions of dollars to people. He went off the grid. He moved somewhere in Alberta to like basically hide.
In a house made of emeralds.
Took the Jettison with them
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways,
on the plane.
that story could go. There's so much more, but anyways,
Okay, so you,
go back. So California.
We'll just reel
we'll
it
just
back.
we'll cut that whole part out if we don't need it.
That's so funny.
Well, okay, so we show up in California.
So we show up in California.
That's good. That's so funny. Thank you.
That's such a Tyler response
It
too.
was. That's really funny.
That's quite funny.
It's very,
I
it's very rare.
exhaled
Tyler
air
has
out of my
anything
nose.
negative to say.
Now we see where that your 0 to 100 comes from, though.
Yeah, 100%.
So now we're in our hotel room. Joel's on his call. And I'm there and I'm looking at my phone and I have Sam's number. I'm writing messages. Delete. Writing the message.
Because we're nervous to go to this
Like,
guy's studio.
Now we're here. I'm like, hey, how's it going?
You like pizza?
Dude, it was like
it was
that.
literally that
Oh,
bad.
We were
no.
like that awkward.
He's like, yeah, I'm at my studio. Come down anytime. Gives us the address. I was like, all right, we're going to order an Uber. We'll be there in an hour. We're going to eat something quick or whatever. Or Joel had to finish up. Get in the Uber, throw our clubs into the back. We show up. So he is, have you been to Manhattan Beach?
Yep.
So he was like a block and a half, 2 blocks off the beach. So you walk out the front and the ocean is there.
And the road is like down,
Like
like San
straight
Francisco
down.
style, where it goes down. So you just see ocean.
So we
It's
we
beautiful.
pull up, clubs out. We're like, man, this is like the sickest vibe ever. We walk in. He looks, he's just like, I don't know how old Sam is, but he looks like he's
I think he's
late
probably
20s,
40,
early
45,
30s,
I think.
like total California surfer. And he's on the phone. So we're like, oh, awesome. Like, we bring our clubs in. He's like, oh, points at his ear. He's like, I'm on a call.
Got his earbuds in or whatever.
Elon Musk.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
He's like, we're on a call, We're like, oh, okay. And we put our clubs down. Joel and I are just standing in his office, like in
Kind
his
of
studio,
awkward.
aimlessly, just kind of like. And then he just goes over and grabs the putter out of my bag. He has a simulator in there with turf down and everything, and just starts rolling putts. And then he goes,
Yeah, I remember. We're looking at each other
And
like,
we're just-
what the?
and
Sweating away,
sweating.
hey?
Oh yeah. And then he's like, "All right, great guys. That call just ended. I'm gonna hop on another one. Why don't you guys go for lunch and come back in an hour?"
We're
like-
like, sure. Yeah, okay, sounds good. But
Where'd you
both
go
of
for
us in our
lunch?
heads were like, what the hell just happened? Like, did he like it?
Did
Like, he
he
didn't
realize that we
we
flew
just
all
came
the
from
way from
Vancouver.
Vancouver?
But where was lunch?
So anyway, so we walked. We don't know where to go for lunch, so we just start walking down the street, right? All right, we'll find a place to eat. So we're like walking past a few different places, and like, I don't want to go there. No, there's not a lot of places, and we sit down at this other place, and we look up, and there's a sign that says like,
Featured on Triple D.
yeah, drivers,
Diners,
dine in.
drivers, and
yeah,
dives.
yeah. So we're like, oh, okay, this place is good. Like, so we sat down and ate there, and walked down to the beach, and we're like checking our like watch. Like, has it been an hour? Has it? Let's go back. We got to get back. Okay, yeah, all right. Let's not get back too early. So, anyways, we finally get back there. We walk in the studio. He's done his call, and he goes, "All right, well, let's head out to the course." Like, okay. Like, there's no small... Or what? No, there was a little small talk because he gave a T-shirt, unless
That's
that
right.
was after.
That was after. I think that was after.
Okay,
No,
and-
it was before.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it was
he
before.
gave us T-shirts. We talked a little bit. He had his surfboard, his skateboard on the wall. Like, just total, like, clean. So if you pictured this place, it's just white walls, concrete, like, nice concrete floors, like, and just, like, clean. And really
Minimalist,
nice.
super
Yeah.
minimalist design.
And that's where he taught golf lessons, virtually or in person. So, anyways, we go out to the course. We hop in an Uber, the three of us. Our bags are all in this Uber. We get to the course. He's like, yeah, we're just going to go to this local little par 3 course that I love. They know me there. And it's behind the Marriott Hotel. And we're like, oh, okay. So, if small par 3 courses here in BC and Canada are pretty much like, they're not really kept really well unless it's like at a senior, like Nickawind is pretty good, right? Like if there's like a senior's residence there, it's going to be kept a little better because, higher standards. But typically a par 3 course is pretty crappy. But we roll up to this course and it looks like full blown. We're at like a PGA, like
Oh wow.
tournament
Everything
event.
was beautifully manicured.
Palm trees, like just like every hole is like would be a picturesque, scenic hole here in BC. So we're like, oh, nice course. He goes, yeah, I really like this course. And
I love this course because you get 9 chances at hole-in-ones.
yeah, that's what he
We're
said.
like, oh, that's really rad. Like, do you have any? And he goes, yeah, I have 8 of them.
Ooh.
So to put things in perspective, the amateur golfer will get a hole-in-one 1 in 10,000 attempts. And he has 8. And he
So
got
people don't really get, basically people can live their whole life without getting
and
there.
he
again.
got 6 of them in 180 days.
Wow.
He's a good golfer. He's very good.
He's not bad.
He taught a stroke that's called square to square, and it just teaches you how to have a really nice balanced swing and balanced approach.
That's like easily repeatable.
Yeah.
Which
That's cool.
So we get there, we go in the pro shop, and he's introducing us. Oh, hey, I'm golfing with these 2 Canadian guys today.
I'm with the Canadians.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, nice to meet you guys. And we're like, yeah, cool. We're nerd. Dude, we still don't know anything
Yeah, he didn't say
about the putter. We're there for the putter. Like, so we're like small talk. Then we get to the first tee off, and it's the 3 of us. And Sam's like, all right, well, who's first up? And I'm like, oh, my word. So he spins the tee. That's what you do in golf. You spin the tee, whoever the tee points at when it hits
Like
the
spin
ground.
the bottle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're up first.
Yeah, you have to kiss the person and then
pointy
tee off.
side. So it spins
You're
and it points to me.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm first. I'm like, awesome.
You able to throw up in your mouth a bit?
Yeah. And then Sam spins it again. Sam's next. Then Mark. First tee off, if you guys know golf, it's 116 yards to the pin. So it's not far, but it's still intimidating because there was a pond on the right side. The green's straight ahead. It's an elevated tee box. And there is a restaurant, a patio restaurant on the left with maybe 40 people, 30, 40 people
Staring
eating
at you.
lunch and staring at you hitting
I
off.
can just envision you like panic and pull out a driver. I'm just so nervous. Just clobbers
I
it.
just wanted to show the durability of our putter, so I pulled out the putter.
Yeah.
So there's no practice, like we're not at a range before warming up or anything, right? There's nothing like that. So I pull up, I think my A wedge, I don't remember what club I had. So all I remember is I have to get it on the green. This is going to be super embarrassing if I don't hit the green. So anyway, I get up there, hit it, boom. It's 10 feet from the hole. Like really a good shot. Like I would be pumped on that shot any day of the week. And I'm like acting kind of cool. Like as soon as I hit it and I'm watching it, I didn't say anything. And Sam goes, nice shot. And I'm like,
Yes.
this PGA instructor just told me nice shot. Right? Like I felt so cool. And then he's up next. I'm like, oh, he's just going to nail this way closer. And he hits it like 15 feet from the hole. So I'm like, nice shot, man. And I'm thinking in my head, holy crap, I just shot better than this dude. And he like has like 10,000 followers. Like people teaches everybody. Anyways, then Mark is up next. And I'm just thinking in my head, okay, Mark is shitting bricks right now. There's a pond on the right that's still, you could hit it in the water easily. And Mark, he's beat me once. So Mark is, I just
Thanks.
had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So he,
Did I mention that
once
he's
to-
beaten me once?
Once to this point. Let's just put it
So
once
far.
anyway,
to
yeah.
this
I
point.
don't
This was
know.
2 years ago.
Get technical about
yeah.
that, but I'm nervous for him. Let's just say I'm nervous for him as a friend, but also as our company.
There's a
Green-
lot riding on this golf
putter,
round.
our putter, right? So he gets up there and he hits it, and Sam goes, "Oh, that's going in the hole." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good shot. That looks good." It hits 6, and Sam said it again as it's in the air. "Oh, that's going in the hole." It doesn't go in the hole. It hits 6 feet past the hole, but then it all of a sudden it grabs and has backspin, and it goes in the hole. Hole in one.
First shot.
Out
Are you- for
first
real?
shot. Okay, we're taping Mark's first hole in one here with Sam. 110 yards. Drains it. Look at that divot. Look at that divot.
Went right in the cup.
Incredible. Dude. Awesome shot, Mark.
For real?
Shot.
Not
No,
a lie?
this
Because
is-
this is
yeah.
a wicked ass
This
story.
is legit,
If you guys
dude.
are full of shit, the
No,
the podcast is done, just so you know.
100% real. We have a video. So we start going. I have an
just pulled the video up.
out-of-body experience. I'm not kidding. It felt like my body was above my body. Like I was so jacked for Mark.
That's
because
hilarious.
it's one thing to see it on TV, but then if you experience it in real life, and especially in this
Scenario.
freaking where we are, people eating lunch start going nuts, standing up, screaming,
Clapping.
I run at him. He doesn't even really. I can tell in his eyes he doesn't know what just happened. I pick him up and I'm like, Dad, like screaming, and Sam's just standing there like this. I knew it was going in.
That's
It
hilarious.
was going in like this. And we're just like, holy shit! And we were just.
Unreal.
Someone comes out from the restaurant, dumps Gatorade on you. Yeah.
So Mark,
New course.
yeah, first shot.
Meeting.
So Mark and I, we're walking up to the green. I start videotaping as we're walking up to the green. I have that video.
So do I.
And Sam like is just acting cash, but like, is this how all Canadians golf? I've never golfed with Canadians before, and I'm just I'm on top of the world right now for Mark, but also for. We look like champions. Like, who goes out there and does, 10 feet to the hole? Oh, hole in one, no big deal. But then we get there. Sam doesn't try the putter on the first hole. He, like, uses his putter, nails his birdie putt, or I don't remember what happened. But we get to the second hole. Mark had the putter in his bag. So Mark hits it on the green second hole again and then putts in his birdie putt. And I remember Sam saying, wow, you guys could advertise. He hadn't even touched it yet. He goes, you guys could advertise one putt for every 2 holes. And I'm like, yeah, good one. And then he tries it after he made that comment, and he's like, oh, yeah. And I remember he was like super close to the hole or whatever the first time he hit it. But I'm also thinking he's a good putter. He's a flipping pro, right? But he's like, yeah, I really like this. And then he kept using it throughout, the rest of the round. And he kept commenting how he really liked it and things he liked about it. And we're like, this is good.
Ooh, and 0 degree loft. What made you guys think of
Oh,
that?
jeez.
So most putters actually have loft to them. So the theory behind
I
that
have no
is
idea.
We didn't.
The
So
ball-
let's explain. So if you have a putter, you think that the surface is flat. In reality, the surface is actually like this. It's actually angled up
Okay.
2 to 4 degrees on an average putter, which is super strange. We didn't know this when Mark's creating prototypes, because the Chuck Brown was just straight. So every putter he made was dead straight. There's no loft. So we made this dead straight. And Sam goes, oh, I really love that you guys did 0 degree loft on this. Makes the ball roll really true. And we're like,
You
Yes.
quickly
Why-
wrote that down in your phone.
why, thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
add that to the notes.
no. So
TM.
we actually we were like transparent with him, and we're like, dude, we didn't know that. And he goes, really? Yeah, putters have loft. And we're like, but he's like, but I really I think you guys are onto something. And we're like, yeah, we're onto something.
That's
So,
awesome.
Like super weird, like because it's part of the journey. Just that other thing about 0 degree loft, and then we still didn't know what Sam thought really until after our round. We went for dinner, and we're eating at this restaurant. And wasn't our server from
our server was from, I think he was from BC.
BC? Somewhere where we both like
Chilliwack, probably.
somewhere weird, and it was like Sam's like, man, this is meant to be. And Sam kept saying, I wouldn't say he's a new agey type of guy, but he kept saying that, like, guys, this was meant to be. Like, you don't just get a hole in one on your first hole when, like,
yeah.
everything made sense why we were there and what we were doing. And Sam's like, you guys have something really special.
Mm-hmm.
I want to support you guys. I'm not asking for anything, but I think you guys could really take this to the market and disrupt the golf
Oh,
industry.
wicked.
And we were just like, holy shit.
Hey yo.
We're just like, this is unreal. And we're just looking at each other and like, just,
And the whole day from when we got to the golf course was like a dream. Because
It
I mean,
was.
just like Joel was saying, like, I hit that ball. That was an out of body experience for me. Like, he's like, that's going in the hole. I was like, thanks, man, but that's just a decent shot.
Yeah.
Was my first thought. And then it hit, and I was like, oh, that was all right. And then I saw it rolling back, and I was like, and then it was gone. And I was like, this could, and before I knew it, I'm halfway down the fairway because Joel's carrying me down there. I'm like, what?
It's nuts, dude.
In the world
And the
just
crazy part we didn't say is on the plane, we both were talking because we were playing this stupid golf game on our phone on the plane. And Mark said, imagine if one of us got a hole-in-one today.
I can hear him say that. Yeah.
He said that on the plane.
At like 5
So it's
o'clock
just
in the morning.
Pure prophecy. I'm just like, holy cow, dude. You just spoke it into existence. Like,
Manifested it.
Yeah, that's right.
craziness. And then, Sam, we decided at that dinner, we said, Sam, we want you to be a part of this. We're 50-50 partners right now.
What will it take? We said,
Yeah.
what will it take to get you to be part of the team? Because as soon as it's like the hole in one, I don't want to pump my tires, but that was the icebreaker. Because up until then, it was pretty awkward. Like, it was it's still
like a
meeting
date.
somebody for the first
a
time.
date. It
We've
was a
traveled
full
all,
date.
we've talked on
Blind date.
Yeah, that's what it felt
Yeah.
like. And then as soon as that happened, Sam was like, well, if that wasn't a sign, I don't know what is.
That's true.
And we were like, okay. And then it was just like all the walls came down, super candid conversation, total bro conversation. Like, rad guy.
Wait, you watched Game of Thrones too? Like one of those kind of moments?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Never seen it.
Oh, you are missing out.
Never
Anyways,
seen it.
It's an
right?
animated series
Dragons.
with dragons and
animated.
wheelbarrows and stuff.
So we, at dinner, Sam said, well, I don't want to, you guys created something crazy, like really cool here. I don't want to take this company. Like, I don't really want, he said, my life, I want to be able to pick up at any time and move to Costa Rica. So he's like, I don't want you guys to rely on me. I have a vision for my life already, and that's what I want to do. And we're like, oh, that's awesome, dude. Well, could you help us develop a better prototype? He's like, absolutely. So we're like, what if we gave you 1% of the company? He's like, done. Let's do it. So we gave him 1%, I think, at the dinner, right? At the end of the dinner. And went back to our hotel, and crazy. And then we flew the next day.
Well, we met back at his office,
Oh, yeah.
or his, like, the next morning, and we kind of had just like big dream board. What's the goal? How are we going to get there?
Very cool.
Let's dream it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had said, we want to sell 200 putters the first year once we develop a prototype, like one that we want to take to market.
Yeah.
So this is 2019, and then 2020 rolls around.
Not a lot happened in 2020.
No, so 2020 rolls around, COVID starts, and then we had a prototype, so we started sending it to friends and family, and we would say, hey, can you give us $100, $150? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. Looks beautiful. I'll try it. And we said, we just want you to give us your honest feedback, because we want to know what we need to change, what we need to do. So we sent probably 30 prototypes around
Mostly
North
around
America,
Canada,
but a couple into the U.S., and just to get people's feedback. This is March, April, May, and my brother-in-law is in Edmonton, and the courses were closed until I think May because of the pandemic when it started, and then the courses opened, and he said, oh, I'm going to get to try the putter now. And he calls me up after his round. He said, dude, I putted the best round I've ever putted in my life. He's like, it's incredible. And he's like, and I was golfing with and my buddy's dad is something Phillips. Josh, here you go. He was the old announcer for the Edmonton Oilers for like 30 years.
Okay.
And he loved the putter. And he said, I want to tell my daughter about this putter. She's the head of global news for Edmonton. Sports.
Oh, that's how. Okay.
Global news sports in Edmonton. And so my brother-in-law called me. He's like, hey, is it fine if I give her your number?
No.
Yeah, totally good, dude. Let's do this. So she calls and she says, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, I heard about this putter. And at this point, there's no sports right on the news. There's nothing happening.
Everything's
it's like
completely
pandemic.
shut down.
Everything's like, so they're obviously starving for stories, right? So she hears, like, I tell her quickly in a couple minutes what we did, and she goes, "Wow, I would love to do a news piece on this. If I send a crew down, will you be ready for Wednesday?" This is like Saturday or Sunday. Mark, we don't have a business. There's no like. We had 30, there's no Greenwood golf. There's no nothing yet really. Like we're still in Mark's garage that looks like a small family garage, single garage with bikes and everything in it, right? So I was building my wife a pottery studio because she's a potter, Laura Lute Pottery. Look that up, Josh. Anyways, she sells.
Been there, done that.
She sells pottery all over the world, and she wanted to start teaching. So I'm like, "Babe, I'll build you a studio," because this is the original carport where we found the putter, and I built it into covered. It's 2-bay garage now. Covered, looks nice. We got old windows on the side from the movie The Shack. Josh, you could be looking that up. I bought the whole movie set from The Shack, so I had every prop, all the cars, everything. Anyway. I used that to make this cool studio for my wife. So I'm like racking my brain. How can we, if we're going to be on the news, we need to look good. So I said, "Babe, can we use the studio? Set it up." She's like, "Absolutely." Because it was like just finished for her. And so she hadn't even moved all her pottery stuff in yet. She's like, "Yeah, of course." So we put it in. The news company comes on the Wednesday. We still didn't have a website, nothing. We didn't know what to expect. They come, do this like big production, news crew, camera, lights, everything, right? And
Probably 6 hours of filming.
yeah, went to a course. We had people putting, and my old golf coach from college was there. Like we had thought it out. We didn't want to just be two dudes in a garage. This was our like,
Yeah.
boom.
You're two dudes in a garage with a 6.3 IMDb rating from The Shack background.
What's up? What's up? I like that.
That was quick.
There
That
you
was
go,
quick.
Josh. So
Has anyone else seen this movie?
I
I
have
have no idea
I've
what
never
it is.
seen it.
a couple
No.
times.
After suffering a family tragedy, Mac Phillips spirals into a
Oh,
deep
Mac.
depression that causes him to question his innermost
good.
beliefs.
We'll Google it
It's
later.
actually very depressing. Anyway, I'm not even going to talk about that movie. So they come, film, and then we're like, "Oh, when's this story going to air?" She goes, "Oh, it's going to air this Saturday."
Well, better get making
Dude.
that website.
Yeah, we don't have a website.
Did you call the buddy from Chilliwack Times?
Nope.
Oh.
Didn't call the buddy. Called Sam from California. Dude, Sam, this just like he knows all along, right? But we're like, we need a website. He's like, "Dude, don't worry. I got a guy in India. His name's Nitesh. He can develop a website, you guys, for nothing. Blah blah blah. We'll get on the phone with Nitesh." So we're like, "All right." So we're on the phone with Nitesh Friday night at like midnight, 2 a.m. Just back and forth, sending him pictures, telling him because he needs a script and everything. And he's like, "I'll put it on the Shopify platform." And Sam's like, "Yeah, that's good because it intermixes with everything." We don't know shit. We're like, sure, just do it. Like, do whatever you need to do. We don't care. So they just needed a website to promote when they aired the news piece. So the only website we could get, we had a name Greenwood because Eric, we had worked through the name process with my buddy Eric who owned Vito Marketing, still owns it. We went through
40,
hundreds of
50,
100 names probably we started with.
Yeah.
And then he just had a process of how do you name something? Like, oh, you get it down to 20, you get it down to 10, you get it down to your top 3. Why do you need, what should the name say? So the reason it's Greenwood is because it's on the green and it's wood. So it just makes sense, like Greenwood. So we were like, oh, okay. We didn't really love the name, and it was called The Greenwood in the beginning. So our website address was thegreenwoodgolf.com, right?
I think so, yeah.
So we had that platform up, and it was like a one-page thing that he put up. And the news story airs. So this is COVID. Hey, there was no masks, eh? This is pre.
Oh yeah. No masks.
This is pre-masks mandatory. So there's no masks. So I forgot about that. So Mark's at his house. I'm at my house. The news story airs. And we had Shopify on our phones because the guy's like, oh, you'll get a ding if an order comes in. And we're like, okay, yeah. Like, if we can get 10 orders from this news piece, that was success to us. Like, literally. Because remember that big goal we had with Sam's office was 200 in the year of 2020. So we had 30 prototypes sold. We counted them as sales, even though they were like 100, 150 bucks, whatever. So we're like, okay, we got 30 sold. Then the news story airs. It was pretty cool. It was done nice. My kids were watching it. His kids were watching it.
It looked great.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, just like the movies, ding. And it sounds like a cash register.
Yeah. It did.
So cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And Mark's calling me. I'm like, dude, we have like 4 sales. And as we're on the phone, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And our phones just keep going. And we're like, holy shit, dude, this is insane. What is going on right now? We didn't even have the putters sprayed, like lacquered yet. They were just raw wood. Because we had the prototypes made at a CNC factory, so they're all the same. But they weren't ready for like shipping or anything. So we had 200 orders in the first 2 weeks. So every day.
That's insane.
Yeah, cha-ching, cha-ching. Our phones are going
And
off.
so what happened was
A little bit of throw up in your mouth every time.
Totally.
Oh, God.
Our wives are
Totally.
like super jacked. We're jacked. We're like, dude, we're quitting our jobs. Like this is nuts.
That's
Like this is
awesome.
real.
it was Edmonton had us for the 6 o'clock news, or their 6 here.
Yeah.
Then I think we were on
No, 6 there, but
Yeah.
5 here.
right,
Yeah.
and then we were on the 7 o'clock news here Saturday night, 10 o'clock news here Saturday. Then we were on the news for all 3 segments on Sunday in Vancouver.
That's wicked.
Yeah,
And-
so really cool.
We were pretty proud when we saw that.
Yeah.
So the first people that were buying them were, I would say, 75 to 80% of people were like wives buying for their husbands, and like, but we didn't care. We were just like, this, like, people like what they see.
Yeah.
They like the story. And people were emailing us saying like, we really like your guys' story. We want to support you. We had a guy, he called me. He said, what's your phone number? And he calls me and he's like, whatever you guys make in the future, limited edition, anything, I will be the first to buy it. Promise me that I can be the first person to buy anything you
Oh,
make.
that's cool.
And I was like, what is this? Like, this is nuts.
It
So
was your old boss calling as he's looking for the emeralds and the rubies or whatever.
yeah, he did call, but not for that. Anyway. So that was crazy. That was the launch of our business. And then we needed everything. We needed a business number. We needed all of that stuff had to get sorted out. And we had to we had manufacturing kind of dialed, and we knew where we had to buy everything from. So that was like, we weren't ready for 200. We were ready for like, I think 100 or 50.
I don't know if it was even that much.
Yeah, we had to order stuff right away. So he's on the phone with, like, he had a guy in Australia that he was getting the grips from, and I was in charge of everything else, so I had to order this, like, so it was just like, okay, let's go. So we were up late for a lot of nights in the beginning, making putters, shipping them out, and learning as we were going still. Yeah, and that was June. That was a year.
Almost a year
whoa,
ago.
dude.
Yeah.
June 16th last year. So almost a year ago. Well, whatever Saturday was around this time, right before Father's Day.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So that's nuts that a year later we're here.
Yeah.
So 200 in the first week was like I expected that would continue, but I knew it would drop a little bit. But it has dropped a lot because we haven't done any other real marketing or anything. We've sold almost 400 putters now.
It's amazing.
And some in Australia, some in Europe, some in
Super cool.
Vegas.
last week or 2 weeks ago, and like Michigan. And we're like, who are these people? How are they hearing about us? Why are they buying our putter? And we'll get like emails. I got random email from a guy in Germany saying, hey, I didn't even share this with you. Last night, he's like, really like the concept of your guys' putter. I would love to try out your putter. And just so we get emails like that. We're like, oh, this is really cool. And I think we forget a lot about it was cool that we could share the very beginning tonight. So I think we forget about that process and the thought, because there was a lot of, it's not just a block of wood with weight, there was a lot of thought into why it was made the way it was made, and even the new design of the facet. So on our website, we have the classic putter, which was the very first, that was the Sam approved prototype. Not the one he tried, but the one he helped design. And then the facet, Mark, I was away for work, and Mark sent me a photo, and he said, I don't even want to show you this putter I just designed, because I was telling him, dude, you need to start designing new putters. I can't even show you this photo, he says. He's like, it's hideous. And I'm like, dude, just show me. What are you talking? Why is he
Don't look at me.
acting so
Not
weird?
the pitch,
Exactly. So he sends me a photo, and I'm like, what are you? Dude, it's incredible. That thing looks awesome. He's like, what? No, it doesn't. Dude, it looks incredible. And I think you said Alicia thought it looked good too, right?
Yeah,
Wife?
I was like, no, you guys are crazy. This looks awful.
Crazy bills.
And it looks, and so that is on our website right now. That's our new design.
Josh, look it up.
It's the facet, and it's our tour series, and everyone that sees it likes it.
That's cool.
Our first classic putter, people liked that it was wood, but aesthetically, when they look down at it, they're not like, oh, this is really cool, because it's kind of just a block of wood, and it's, Mark said earlier, but it's meant to be a block of wood because it's a clear, sharp, straight line on the top and the front edge. So when you line up for where you need to hit, it's very easy to line that putter face up to the hole. So that's why we
it'd be
did that.
lining up your phone, you'd really easily be able to tell if it's out
Yeah.
of square.
Which way is
That's
facing?
right.
Okay.
Facet looks nicer.
The
Thanks,
facet
Dave.
looks nicer.
I really like that Japanese burnt.
Oh,
The Shisugi band.
Yeah.
Sugi ban.
Shusugi ban.
We don't do that anymore.
No.
So we were the first human beings. So this is Clay, and I remember I told you this. I was like, this is why we're doing this. He, being the wood guy, he had said something about this Japanese art of burning wood, and I had never heard of it before. I was like, cool, let's do that to our putters. We'll be the first putter company on the planet to do Shu Sugi Ban putters. So they're burnt wood. And what it does is when you burn the putter, so we make it, put the brass on, put the weight inside, it's all done. And then we take a blowtorch and we literally burn, all the sugars come out of the wood and they harden the outside of the wood. So it makes it even more stable.
Like a creme brulee.
It's sort of like a creme brulee, yeah. And so I thought that would take off. I was like, dude, this is insane. We can just advertise this all over the world and everyone's going to want a Shu Sugi Man putter. Well, it didn't take off. We since took it off our website because it's actually a pain in the butt to do and it takes a lot of time. We might introduce it in the future when we're more well known.
Yeah.
But starting out,
Or
starting out, it's people didn't really care or know.
Yeah.
And the people that did want it, they just wanted a black putter. They didn't care that it was,
okay.
they didn't care that it was Shu Sugi Ban.
They just wanted it black.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah.
dude, we need to fast forward to testing. That's probably
Yeah.
the next.
the next part that we have to talk
I
about.
really need those Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar chips.
Josh, can we get the Miss Vicky's?
They're underneath you.
Oh.
Anyway,
It'd be a delight to just shoot straight into the mic.
so
Yeah.
since
Super close up to the mic.
Yeah,
Let's get
please.
the ASMR.
yeah, so since
Miss Vicky's chips sound effects. Chew them really slowly, please.
since day one of developing putters, we kind of didn't talk about this. I had talked about with Mark, we need scientific data to show us why our putters work the way they do and if they're actually better. Because if you're creating something like this for a technical industry, you better be technical, right? So he's like, I know a guy in Seattle that has a machine that can test these. Thanks, Josh. Dude, I don't need the bag right in front of me.
Can you just feed
guess
him
I did
one at a
ask
time
for it.
under his mask,
Yeah.
please?
Guess I did ask for it.
You did ask for them.
So,
I reached out to my buddy and I'm like, hey man, we need to do some sort of testing. And he's like, okay, well, yeah, we got this thing at my work. He's a golf instructor as well. It's called the Sam Putt Lab. I don't know. Do you want me to do some testing on it? So we'd sent him a putter, and I didn't really keep up with him, so I didn't really get anything back from
hear back?
Yeah.
Like, Mark, did you hear back from your buddy
And
yet?
I was like, oh no,
where's this testing?
Yeah. So then I think what had happened, the way that we got our first testing done is we found a Sam Putt Lab here in Richmond
Yeah, I was
But it was
buying
a
golf
fluke.
grips. I was buying golf grips.
off of Austin.
Yep. So a guy on Marketplace. So in September, so the news story hit in June, right, of last year. September, I resigned my job that I was doing for almost 6 years. Very lucrative job, but I was away from my family 2 weeks of every month. And it was crushing my family life, my kids, my marriage, everything was a disaster. So I knew I had to make a shift, and the fact that the putter business was taking off, I was like, this is it. Like, this is now, or I have to do it. Follow my dream kind of thing, right? And listening to all these business podcasts are like, do what you love, and it will be successful. Like, yeah, that's easy to say, like,
Yeah.
from these guys that have made it, like,
Yeah.
right? So you're
You're
always
there.
like that. You say that. So I resigned in September, and I said, I'm not going to take money from Greenwood because every money we make, we put back into the business because we're developing. We need more stock. We need this. We're paying rent at our new facility. So Greenwood needs operational money right now. And we've never had to inject more money since the prototype days,
Yeah.
which is nuts,
Yeah.
which is cool. So I resigned my job, and I said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to be a club builder. Because YouTube nowadays,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want, dude. Do you want to be a welder?
Do you?
Do you want to be an auto body guy? Like, you could just literally watch YouTube
Yeah.
tutorials,
Yeah, it's
and you'll
crazy.
be like, boom. And now all of a sudden, oh, dude, look, great body work you did there. Like, so I
Soldering.
knew I could just, if I'm already in this industry, I better know it more. And Mark was like, well, I can't quit my hardwood flooring job yet. So sure, Joel, you do that. And we had a warehouse now. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll buy all this golf equipment. And I'm like, maybe I should like get my own website and stuff. And I'll call myself, I need a name. And Mark's like, well, what are you going to call yourself? And I'm like, I'll be the golf doctor. And Mark's like, just laughing
The
at me
worst.
like, dude, Mark's like, I taught you everything you know about building clubs. And he did. Like, this is the guy that learned from scratch. And now all of a sudden, I'm going to come
You're the
along and be the golf
doctor.
doctor. Boom. So I start buying all this, like, golf equipment where it's, like, bending shafts. Like, you can bend irons and learn the loft and the lie of irons and all these specialty equipment I'm buying. Because I'm like, I'm just going to put some ads up on Marketplace and I'll learn how to do this. Sure enough, I put ads on Marketplace. People start messaging. Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, bring it by. Blah, blah,
Trust
blah.
your doctor.
Yeah,
Dr. Dre.
call me the golf doctor.
the golf Dr.
You know
Dre.
How many people I told? Oh,
Do
my
you write
goodness.
prescriptions, perchance?
So, anyway, I didn't want to go to Golf Town and buy golf grips. The golf is very expensive. So people that want to get into golf, you're dropping a couple $1,000s for a set of clubs. I'm not kidding. Like, it's super expensive. And then if you want to put a new grip on your club, you're spending $20 a grip, plus you need somebody to install it. You can't just install a grip in your garage unless you watch YouTube. So then I learned how to do that, and then I was like, okay, well, maybe somebody on Marketplace is selling grips. So this is all while Greenwood's still going, right? So I find a guy on Marketplace that has all these tons of grips. And I'm like, dude, can I just buy all your stuff? Will you give me a deal? He's like, sure, yeah. Why don't you come by my place? We'll work out a deal. So he gives me the address. I pull up there. I still have it on my phone, dude. When I pulled up there, that's the crazy thing. I pull up to the Rob Holding Golf Academy. This is the #1 golf academy in Canada. I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know where I was going. And I walk in and I'm like, I don't know where I am, but this is golf related and we're making a putter and we're selling putters. So maybe something's supposed to be going down here. And I walk in and I meet the guy. Hey, Austin. Hey, I'm Joel. And he goes, and we had already messaged because he saw on my Facebook that I did these wooden putters. So he said, could you bring a wooden putter by to show me? I'd like to try it. So I'm like,
That's
sure.
awesome.
So I walk in, and if you go there, it is like, so this is a studio. We're in a studio right now. It is a golf studio. Times this place by 100. So the whole inside is like putting greens and like you can drive here and there's like simulators and like machines to like get you stronger for golf specifically.
Super specific.
Yeah, hundreds of clubs to try from the top new Titleist, TaylorMade, so it's just like the mecca.
Candyland.
Yeah. And I'm buying used grips from this guy. And I'm just like,
All of them.
okay.
All of them.
Yeah, so we go upstairs and he shows me the grips and I'm like, yeah, we made a deal, cash deal for the grips. I took a box of grips, put them in my car, then I go back in. He tries the putter and he's like, oh, wow, this thing feels really good. And he starts nailing putts. This is a 27-year-old kid. Actually, you could Google this, Josh. His name's Austin Hughes. He got his PGA card. He was a caddy for some pretty famous PGA players. That's what you do when you're like a junior golf. You caddy these guys and you work your way up. So he got his PGA card. He started playing in tournaments, but you don't make money. Like, unless you're like the top 100 golfers in the world, you pay a lot of money to fly to Europe, to fly to here, to hotel, to play in this tournament. Expense. Unless
His
you have
LinkedIn looks pretty nice.
Yeah, unless you get sponsored, you don't make money. So he said to me, I decided not to be in the PGA, and I'm instructing now, and I make a lot of money, and I love it. And he goes, I still get to golf every day, and I love what I do. And he's 27. He's not even old, right? And so he liked the putter. And so this formed we're now huge. We have a huge relationship with Austin and the Rob Holding School Golf. And this is not even like 6 months. It's only been 6 months or 7 months. And they had, the reason we're telling this is they had a Sam Putt Lab there.
Oh.
And I said to Austin, I'm like, oh, dude, we've wanted to get testing on our putter. And he's like, oh, yeah, we'll just do it right now. And I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
And I'm like losing it, right? Because I'm like, I didn't think this would happen. And I'm like, I remember calling Mark like, dude, we're going to get testing on our putter. This is nuts. And I remember him testing it. And he has every top putter in the world there, all the new ones, because they get them shipped there to do fitting and testing, and then they sell that brand. So they're not like obliged to sell for a specific brand. They're just there to like show off the brands and help people. So he tries a bunch of putters, tries our putter. He's like, oh, interesting. Goes to the computer and he goes, that can't be right. And I'm like, what? He goes, that can't be right. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, it says here that your putter is better than all of these other putters. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, your face stays more square through the stroke than any of these other top putters in the industry. And I'm like, oh, that is crazy. And I'm just like mind blowing. And I'm like, why is Mark not with me? Like, I'm literally like, where the hell is Mark? Why am I doing this by myself? Why do I get to experience this
Why
amazing
is the golf
thing?
doctor doing this by himself?
So then Austin is like, yeah, this is really good. But he's like, it's not. He's like, this isn't. What's the word? Like, defiant. What's the term that's like, this isn't concrete evidence yet because I was. Yeah, definitive. Because I'm the person that was swinging the club. So he's like, for real proof, you would need like a robot, right? Like the same stroke. So then fast forward to more testing. we end up meeting these
Korean guys.
Korean.
Did they have the golf robot with them?
No, they
No.
had a different. They had a hookup with a machine at Swanee Set,
Ooh,
right?
lovely.
Swanee Set,
Lovely place.
Yeah.
called Quintech putting analysis machine. And Mark already knew. Mark already did research. He knew. He was like, we need to get a Quintech.
Yeah. And so the difference in the SAM Putt Lab is the SAM Putt Lab, their data is all on what the putter does, which matters to a certain extent, but it's more so the user versus the putter, if that makes sense.
Okay.
They're wanting to show you with your putting stroke, this putter fits you the best based on the way that
How
you
you
stroke
swing.
the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas the Kintech is all ball data. So it doesn't matter how you strike it.
Q-U-I-T.
I'm on the page right now.
Yeah, Quintic.
Looks pretty cool.
Are you Googling balls?
You know it.
So it doesn't. So with the Kintech, it's saying
Careful.
we don't care how you're doing it, but what is the ball doing it once you impact?
Once it makes impact.
And that's what we believed, and now believe definitively why our putter is performing better. So we went to Swanee Set.
Got 10 guys.
I mean, and we're in a studio, I mean, probably twice the size of this. It wasn't massive, but
Wasn't
we
huge.
walk in and it was this club fitting place with these sets of irons that Joel and I are drooling
Japanese
over.
irons
All
that
Japanese,
cost $6,000 for a set of irons.
which is only like
So
9 clubs.
Yeah, 4 to pitching wedge.
So so they have all these demo clubs. Then you open up these 2 garage doors, and you can. We were just hitting balls, and we were like, "This is so much fun! Sunny day,"
Called the Mecca.
which it was. It lived up to the name. So we're just hitting balls, and this guy sets it up, and he starts doing all this putter analysis. He's like, "Hey guys, do you guys want to stop hitting?"
Oh, what's his name?
BY.
Oh, dude, Google this guy. BY, what is his name? BY. He was a Canadian PGA champion.
The Montreal Open 2017,
Ah, BY.
2018.
Yeah, anyways, so this is the guy testing our putter. He has no allegiance to us. He doesn't care who we are. We just asked him to give us a complete, unbiased opinion of our putter and what he thinks about our putter.
So we're just Joel and I are just hitting balls into the range, and he's like, "You guys should probably come take a look at this data." And we're like, "Oh, okay." So he starts explaining it. He's like, "Oh, wow."
He was testing the top Scotty Cameron putter, which is that $550 one that I had bought a few years ago. And
The
then he was
Even
also
Roll.
Even Roll, the top Even Roll putter, because he
Which
was
was-
actually sponsored by Even Roll.
And they,
Oh.
I think they won last year or the year before the best overall
name?
putter.
Can you find
of the
him,
year.
Josh?
I saw a Bryn Perry. There was no BY.
It's because it's some other Korean name, but he goes by BY.
So when he pulled you in there, what was
So basically, to kind of dumb down the data, our putter was hitting the ball consistently more on line. The face reaction was more consistent. Our ball will actually stay on the putter face twice as long. So instead of
Bouncing.
instead of the ball hitting off of a metal object and rocketing off, it's almost being cushioned and pushed off of the face of the putter.
Is that because the wood has some give?
That's
more so
correct.
than-
Yeah. And so like the easiest way to explain it is when most putters are when you're putting at the hole, they are throwing a dart and just hitting the board, and we are throwing a dart at the bullseye more consistently than they are. Our putter is staying on line more, again, through the impact, but then also post-impact, and our speed control is better.
it's very
So
cool.
we were, it was, again, we thought that this
Found
was
him.
all placebo.
His name is actually BEON,
That's not BY. You were sending me on a goose chase there.
No.
Beon?
BEON and then Y, capital Y, separate word. YE, that's a separate word. It's the guy's name. YEONG and then another word, Lee.
Another
Beon,
name.
But
you're
he-
wrong.
So
Lee.
what did
Yeah.
what did he think about it once that?
So he said, how can I deny this data? Your putter is better than these two putters.
That's awesome.
And we were
Wow.
like, holy crap, dude. Like, we were just like, mind again. Like, how does everything keep getting.
And those are top rated.
Correct.
Yeah. Remember, I'm very impatient, and I still am. So I'm still thinking, why are we not bigger than we are right now? But it seems like with this business, everything is happening for a reason at a specific time. And I can't ignore that because everything is.
Yeah.
So even this BY guy is like, I can't deny the data. How can anybody deny the data? Your putter's better. Like, why would I not play with this? And golf, we're not talking about hockey. We're not talking about another sport where it's like the variables are like, you can use a Bauer hockey stick or whatever hockey stick. And sure, they're a tiny bit different, but like they're basically the same. We're talking about golf, which is the guys that are serious golfers, and a lot of them are very technical. They want to know data about why they should use a club and why it would affect their game and
So
why
like
it would help their game.
Micro
Yes.
things, yeah.
So BY said, on average, this is the easiest way to put it, on average, on a 10-foot putt, these other two putters were 0.44 millimeters off that original line. So when the ball hits the hole, it's 0.44 millimeters off that original where it was hitting, if you took a laser. Our putter was 0.22 consistently off that line. When he said that, I was like, Mark, we need to tell the world. This is not something small. This isn't like, hey, Titleist, we made a little bit better of a putter. It's hitting 0.41 off. Congratulations, guys. No, this is colossal. This is like you're making almost a putter that's hitting perfectly true. So it's just like, I don't know where it's going to take us. And I'm saying it and I'm getting all riled up because it is true. It's not fake. It's real. And if people want to be serious about their golf game and they want to help their golf game, use this putter.
Yeah.
You want a deal, call us, email us. I just want this putter in people's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even if they buy it for our cost. Like, if you want to help your putting game, here you go. Don't spend $550. Don't listen to TaylorMade with their new Spider Tour BS, blah, blah, blah putter. Like, that's all media. It's all hype. It's all marketing. It's how they make these are publicly traded companies. They need to profit every year and grow and grow and grow. And we're just like, we fluked on this, and it's meant to be. It's like it's the time in the universe where this happened, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
So people have a chance to kind of get in now before it blows up.
It's true.
That's right.
Looking for investors. No, we're
Yeah.
not. We're not.
It's a phenomenal story. There's not too many times that we sit silent while we listen for 2
Right?
hours.
I
So
know,
a
right?
phenomenal
Has it been
story,
that
but
long?
holy smoke, man.
Yeah.
It's great though. Like, I think what it is it's like there's, you mentioned it many times where you talked about story and the importance of story, and it is absolutely essential. And the cool thing is that you guys are also great storytellers when it comes
Yeah.
to it. So, being able to sit down, I mean, it's such a cool thing to see two guys start with, what is that? And,
Yeah.
rip open a little old golf putter and just be like, what is that? And then most of the time though, the story ends there. Right. And that's the neat thing about this is that you guys do have a cool story because that story sparked a curiosity and a courageousness and a bravery. And that those things have led you to where you're at today. Like, even to say that you were like, with hardware, like, I don't know, let's try this. And you're bending something at work and goofing around and trying something out. Then you're like, yeah, I'm going to go on YouTube and see if I can do this. Like, it's such a cool story. And I think that's also too why, oh man, like, we've bought so many things where it's like there's a great story behind it. Hence, you buying the shack, there's a story behind it that adds to it, because you're not only then showing up on a golf course with something that it is the best tool for the job, which you're right, they're all looking for that. You also have this incredible story. So when people are like, well, what is that? They can share your story, and now they're passing your story on, and that's huge.
It's
But no,
inspiring too.
It's so cool.
Yeah, because it's like seeing you, like as your friend, like you've always been into woodworking, and I've seen you make a lot of cool stuff, and it was cool watching you
The
develop.
wood guy.
The wood man.
wood guy. The wood doctor.
The wood doctor. Got wood?
Oh, yeah.
No, but it really was cool seeing you go
It's
from
Mabel.
what was it? The wine you did wine racks back in the
Yeah.
day, and you kind of you
Tables.
helped me make a guitar pedal box.
Oh, I
We made
forgot
one
about
of those.
that.
Yeah. So it's been cool seeing you kind of grow, and it's I love the way what it's turned into now.
Thank you.
What's the best way for people to reach you guys?
Can phone me. 604-499-GOLF. What up?
Whoa, what's that number again?
604-499-GOLF.
I like that.
What up?
499 go.
Yeah.
The golf doctor.
604-499-GOLF.
Yeah.
Greenwood Golf.
I'm not doing the golf doctor stuff anymore, by the way. That's like, I realized that is, you work a lot for not a lot of money. And I'm not really interested in that. I have a lot of kids to support and a family to support. So I'm just really pouring in everything I can into this.
That's awesome.
To this Greenwood business. And we are on the tip of the iceberg of Mark coming on board full-time too. And that's super exciting because I know when we're together, and we do have a team behind us now. Like we have guys helping us in marketing and guys helping us with social media. And where in the beginning we were doing everything ourselves, but now we're able to hire people to help us in areas that we're not necessarily gifted. We're not.
We're not
We're
gifted.
not, but we are.
Yeah.
You can only do so
our
much as
first
one person in a
Instagram
day.
was pretty like we were killing it
Yeah.
for a while, but you can't keep up. Like when you have a family and stuff, it's like holy cow! And your wife is like, "What are you doing? Get off your phone!"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Babe, I'm just posting an Instagram."
I'm the
for
golf
Greenwood."
doctor. You should fear me.
Yeah.
So it's like
you never know when you're going to need a club fixed.
Yeah, you have to learn to prioritize, and we've learned to prioritize. I can't say fully yet. It's getting better. I was just actually messaging my wife today about that in an email saying, like, the balance isn't quite there yet, but it's going to be there, and I know it is. And I don't know the success of this business yet, but in my brain, it's already successful.
Mhm.
It is. Like, we already, like, outdid what I wanted to do in 2020, and I have a goal this year of selling, like, my big, hairy, audacious goal for this year, like this nuts goal, is to sell 3,300 putters in 2021.
So 200 to 3,300. Your
400.
patience is non-existent.
So, on that note,
Good goal.
just had a call last Friday, for one golf tournament wants to buy 144 putters.
Awesome.
They want to give a putter to everybody that comes to the tournament. It's a charity tournament.
That's cool.
I was like, wow, we never even thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I called Mark and I was like, dude, do you know how many chariot tournaments there are around, charity tournaments, that we could be just contacting people around, hey, do you want us to create a sweet prize? Because normally they'll give away, like, here's a golf t-shirt and a hat.
Totally.
Here's a pair of golf shoes. Like, this is way more practical, where it's like something that's beautiful and it's something that's also you can use, and it's performance based.
And you can probably carve their logo in the
Correct.
brass, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And because it's charity, do you not have to pay any brass tax?
But every single, another thing to be said too,
You plan that one.
the one
I
thing
was waiting.
in golf that is mind, it's kind of funny, is you get a lot of wealthy people that want to be individuals in golf. So they'll go out and buy like a $5,000 set, and then they'll be golfing in a foursome with another guy that sucks at golf, and he has the exact same set. So it's like it's really hard to be individualistic and to make that club different. So somebody that buys Austin has a $3,000 Scotty. It's called Circle T. It's the upper brand of Scotty Cameron. He says our putter is better than his $3,000 putter.
That's amazing.
And you can have that $3,000 putter, and the guy golfing beside you has the exact same putter. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden you don't feel so
Special.
With our putter, I'm not kidding you, every single one is different. Because look at this table. It's made of wood. The wood grain on every single putter is different, and not even like it's colored different. And it's like if you took a putter, you bought a Greenwood, you bought a Greenwood, they're they're the same shape, but they look completely different. So that's super cool that we are creating something that is unique. And it's like, no, that's my putter. I know because it looks like that.
Does everybody that that gets, that purchases one of you guys' putter, do they get, when it arrives, is there a part, like, do they get to be a part of the story? Like, how do they find out your story? Is there something that it comes with?
No,
No.
not yet. We wanted
Because you just
to.
locked us in for 2 hours, all guys that don't golf, and we were into it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So we wanted to in the beginning to add a little postcard with a little bit of our story. We should do
Because that's,
that.
Yeah.
you got guys that are going around the course
Yeah.
all day, and they're talking like crazy. And being able to answer that, well, what is that, with a bit of a story, they're going to be proud to share that story because it's a cool story.
Like elevator
Yeah.
pitch.
That's true.
And hearing
Good
how
idea.
it adds up against the other putters, like, that's pretty cool.
It is. It
Yeah.
still doesn't. It's still not believable to myself
Agreed.
and to Mark. Like I wanted to say in the beginning, the reason why we didn't stop is because when he was down, I was up. When I was down, he was up.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was like a marriage of business and a marriage of friendship that it was like, because we had so many times we were like, dude, just stop. Like, this is not going to work. This is just, we've already spent 10 G's. Like, let's not, like, come on. So, but we just kept going. And like, I didn't say this, but we're USGA approved.
That's awesome.
So that's huge. That putter can be used in a professional PGA tournament.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
Which is like, wow, Mark created something that can be used in a
That's
professional
pretty cool.
Well done, man.
Yeah,
golf
thank you.
tournament. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah,
And,
kind
you,
of like,
cool.
yeah.
and you created it. You didn't just
Yeah.
order it from China.
Yeah.
You could order one from China and put Mark on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, man, you made Mark irons.
Right.
No, dude, you handcrafted something. It's so cool.
Canadian, handmade,
That's right.
crafted, developed,
Precision.
all in-house. Precision.
So he's not, just to be clear, he's not whittling these anymore in his garage.
Yeah.
Whittling. I love that. It's like demeaning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So-
Yeah. Like when I had those
Sits
designs.
on a lawn chair.
Yeah. When
Just
I had
whittles
those
them away.
designs, what we did then is I found a 3D reverse engineering guy, and so he took images,
Oh, beautiful.
however he did it,
Yeah.
and had like the slot where we had the weight, and then we started approaching these different manufacturing companies.
Awesome.
Well, yeah,
And
and we were like, during the days I was working, he was working, we're meeting at like different manufacturing facilities. Sorry. We're meeting at different manufacturing facilities saying, can you reproduce this for us? Because we need to, Mark can't keep making these the same. We need somebody to make these the same. So we went around to a couple places, and I remember the first place was like, oh yeah, it's going to be $270 or something per unit,
Yeah. It
per
was
head.
for 100.
Oh,
No, I think for 100 units, it was going to be $120,000.
It was like
and we were like,
beyond insane. And we're like,
Holy.
that's when I was like, dude, we can't do
That-
this.
yeah,
Like, this
that's where I was
doesn't
like, we're
make
done.
logical sense. Because when I was in the skateboard, snowboard world, you had to like, the buttery point for sales was if you could double. So if you can make something for 50 and sell it for 100, gold. Done, right? So with this, I was saying to Mark, when we were getting those numbers, I'm like, dude, we can't sell these putters for like $700 to $1,000. This is ridiculous. We need to find something where we can be at a price point where we can be aggressive, but also people are like, sure, I'll spend $250. I'll spend $300 on this. I'll give it a shot. So it took some time and a lot of meetings and phone calls, and then we found the place we use, which is A&S Design. Shout out
Abby.
in Abbotsford, and they've been with us since day one.
Yeah.
And they've been awesome. And right now, as we speak, heads are probably in 5-axis routers getting milled right now because
That's so
like
cool.
we
That's
had
right.
a few hundred there today. So it's pretty cool. And now they, like, Mark used to cut the brass and cut everything and like in the warehouse, and then I was the guy that would take the pieces, put them together, and like make sure everything was perfectly put together.
Doctored up.
Yeah, that's right.
He's
Like
still
a
making you
doctor.
do the lead though out of the
Stitching.
cast iron.
No, no,
That one
no.
I don't know why.
That story's coming.
Yeah.
No, so the lead, my wife is an RN, and she had said, like, you need to stop, Mark needs to stop melting this lead.
Wasn't the Mad Hatter?
Yeah. And
that the story or
yes,
something?
it is. She actually said that.
There we go.
And so I said, Mark, we got to do something different. So I just started Googling lead places. Like, where do you buy lead, right? Like, where can we get, there has to be a lead place that can manufacture the size and the piece that we need. Sure enough, there's a place in Richmond. Drove there, met with the guy. He's like, oh, this is nuts. Like, this is what you guys do? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, we make lead weights for rims for cars.
Oh, those.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And they're stuck on with a tape, right? And he's like, so I'll make the exact lead size you need for your putters, and I'll put that tape on the bottom. And I'm like, oh, won't that come off? No. He's like, never. It will never come off. And I'm like, you sure? He's like, yes. So boom, we like got that going and get like 500 pounds of whatever lead strips, and we cut it now the exact size we need for the putt. Well, A&S cuts it, and we just place it in there and epoxy it in. Like it's still taped down, but we put epoxy in there
Just
too,
in
just to
case.
be safe.
So cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
So everything has been like,
Everything has a story, and everything's been a journey.
oh, dude.
Well, what a story that has been. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
That's wild.
You're welcome.
It's kind of cool, like, just from hearing it from Mark, and I actually heard you guys on the other podcast when you were talking, so I heard a little bit of the stories, and it's just kind of, it's just neat how it does seem like everything kind of has happened for a reason for you guys,
Yeah.
right? Piece by piece, kind of opening one door to another.
Yeah, we've
That's
never had to force. There hasn't been a deadline where it's like you have to do this or it's done. It's always like, oh, this happens. As long as we stay diligent and do what we do best, and we're not sitting back. Like yesterday was my birthday.
Happy belated.
Thank you. And I was in the shop making putters. I like making putters, and I was in the shop making putters, and I'm just thinking, like, this is good. But I need to stay diligent and keep on. If you sit back and you're just expecting things to happen, it's not going to happen, man. You have to, like, press through and make those phone calls and try to get through to the right person. And there's a guy named Rick, there's a guy named Rick Shields.
Josh.
He's the number one
I'm on it.
YouTube golf guy in the world. He's in England. As soon as we started, I said, we need to get a putter in Rick Shields' hands. And that's like the crazy goal, right? My cousin was in the NHL, and he's well known, and he lives in England. And I said, Chris, try and get a hold of this Rick Shields guy. Use your famous people connections. Get a hold of him somehow.
Body check someone.
I need to get a hold of him. So Chris ends up becoming his friend on LinkedIn. And Chris, like, here's his cell number. Give him a call. So December 2020, I call Rick Shields up. No answer. It's his personal cell. I leave a voicemail. This creepy, like, weird, like, hey, I'm from Vancouver, voicemail. We got the putter, blah, blah, blah. Like, tried to keep it short, but
Shock
not
factor.
desperate. And then a month or two go by, and I'm still like, oh, I don't want to call him. He didn't call back. And then I think a few months ago, I decided to call him again. And he picks up. 8-hour time difference, right? So I like either have to call him at like midnight or like 1, 2 in the morning or like 6 a.m. our time. So I called him at 6 a.m. our time. He answers. Hello. English accent. I don't know how to do it. And he goes, and I'm like, hi, Rick. This is Joel Lute from Vancouver, Canada. And he's like, hey. And I'm like, do you have a minute? He goes, yeah, I guess I got a minute. And I'm like, boom. And I like quickly pitch him what we're doing. And I said, could you do a product review on our putter? What will it cost? Like, what can we pay you? And he goes, oh, I don't charge for my product reviews. And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, can we get you to do one? He goes, email me the information. I'll look at it and we'll get back to you. I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, thanks, man. And I hung up the phone. I'm like shaking. Like, this guy's like famous. This is not like a little, like, this is the Tiger Woods of golf teaching. Everyone knows him that golfs. I should say that. So anyway, I call Mark. He's not answering.
Jerk.
I'm like, sweet,
Sorry.
Mark. It's like 7 a.m. now or whatever it was. Like, usually he's up. This guy's up like 5:30 every morning. So I'm like, dude, why are you answering? And I text him, just got off the phone with Rick. And that's all I texted. Like 10 exclamation marks. Call me. He finally calls me and he's like, who did you? And I'm like, dude, Rick.
I said, you don't mean like
Yeah.
Rick Shields, do you? And he's like,
Dude.
yeah, I was just on the phone with him for 3 minutes.
Best 3
That's
minutes
all
of my
I
life.
need. The best 3 minutes ever.
So, not to like de-escalate this story, but he still hasn't responded to the email. And I sent another email just to follow up, but nothing yet. But the guy's like uber famous. He's doing content every day. He's sponsored by like big golf companies. So I hope it happens. And I'm thinking it still will. And there's a chance. If it does, I'm telling you guys, overnight, even if he says one good thing about our putter, overnight it'll be thousands and it could be 10,000 putters overnight sales.
That's very cool.
That's how many people follow this guy. But
Squeaky
You
wheel.
got to go over to England and get a hole-in-one, buddy.
Yeah.
That's the next trip.
That's the next trip.
sick. Dude, we should.
Yeah, we should just show up.
Boom.
No, let's just go. What are you talking about? Because we know the courses he plays at. We'll just go with a couple Greenwoods
Now, get out of here.
and just be like, let's just do this. I think we should do it.
I just booked you guys' flights.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh is a man.
He's a man. He's already got you booked.
Dude, that could be a good idea.
I've only got one more good idea. So your wife's still doing pottery, right?
She is.
Have you ever considered putting up a brick and mortar store for both of your products? Puttery and pottery?
Oh, wow. Nope. Never.
The
All right,
puttery
I need
barn.
1%, and then it's a
Genius.
success. Puttery and pottery. Thanks, guys.
Putt happens. New bumper sticker for you. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Sharing your
Appreciate
story.
it.
That was
That's
awesome.
Thank
very
you for
cool.
having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And you guys heard it here.
Gets me fired up.
It's big things coming for Greenwood Putters. So again, where can they reach you? You said your phone number. What about your Instagram?
GreenwoodPutters.com. So just
Greenwoodputters,
GreenwoodPutters.com. Instagram's Greenwood,
Greenwood
Putters.
Putters, yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Facebook, whatever.
Yeah.
We're not shy. We'll talk to anybody.
Perfect.
Awesome.
If anyone has any questions, just reach out.
And we can give deals. People just need to ask.
There you go.
I'm the
Yep.
deal guy. If you want a deal, just come on. We're not looking
Password
to like,
pineapple.
Password, yeah. Could we get a pineapple coupon code here?
Of course.
Okay, yeah. You guys want a special deal on a Greenwood putter?
We will give anybody
pineapple.
$100 off a putter. Any putter on our website. Discount code pineapple. I'll put it on tonight.
Boom. You heard it here.
Pineapple 100. That's what it'll be. Pineapple 100.
All right, I'll share that too. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. And thank you guys for tuning in. We got Mark and Joel from Greenwood Putters. Stay tuned. We've got lots of stuff coming up.
Cheers, boys. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cue the music.